Hello and welcome to ReelTok episode 146. I'm here with all four of us today. Well, I'm here with three of
Bang!
Yeah, Cam, George, T-Dog, me,
T-Dog.
the whole crew, all four of us today. Big episode. The main points of discussion are going to be the 28 franchise, I guess we call it.
The 28 allegedly.
Yeah, the 28 LG. Discussing 28 years later, and then we'll also briefly discuss weeks and days. New Pixar release this week as well. Elio, which I believe Cam and Tyler saw.
I saw it. Yeah,
cool.
Cam did
so
as
obviously they're going to be discussing it as
well.
well. A bit of sort of movie news, trailers, not crazy amount this week, but I think the bulk of the episode is going to be the reviews in general. Before we get into everything, shout out to the executive producers, Stefan Niebrick, Stefan Johnson, Cody Whitney, and Cole Beaver. Appreciate you guys as always. And if you haven't already, check out the Patreon in the links in our bio to access all the fun stuff, the Discord, get involved in the discussion, help us pick reviews and drafts and games and blah, 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 blah. Before we get into everything, as always, we'll discuss how we've been getting on. Tyler, I'm going to come to you first.
Coming to me first. It's been a very hectic week. Been traveling. Let's see. So right after episode, we filmed last week on Sunday. Went on Monday, flew. Let's see. I took some notes in a notes app this week. We're going to try this out. I just kind of mark some things down every day of the week to see, because I feel like every time I come on this.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's 5:15 a.m. I got the white monster flowing, but it's hard to remember everything.
That's such a good
Take a
idea.
quick pull of that. But I stopped after Wednesday, so we got half the week documented. But I can remember. I feel like the earlier week is harder to remember, anyways. So Monday, okay, here's my notes from Monday. 1, kid on plane. So I was flying to Pennsylvania, sitting next to a little kid. I watched Before Sunrise, wrote a really nice review if you want to check that out on my letterbox. But the kid next to me is watching A Bug's Life. He's like a 2-year-old kid, and the kid flew immaculately. So definitely didn't think it was their first flight. So bravo, no whining, just knocked right out. But turned on A Bug's Life, fell asleep immediately. Flight ended. I asked the kid, what's the review? Gave a thumbs up. And like I mentioned, I can't remember where I mentioned, maybe on Twitter. Too young for the 5-star scale, but we got, the thumbs up, thumbs down. So Bug's Life, I don't think it was the first watch of Bug's Life, because I seemed like a Bug's Life veteran, but she probably watched 5 minutes of it, but still got the thumbs up. So, old
Bailey's
school Pixar
into thumbs
still
up,
got it.
Into Bug's Life.
A Bug's Life is Pixar, right? And Ants is the whatever
Ants
Disney
is
or whatever
weird clone of it.
Yeah.
Which is also good.
What else? And then I wrote, worst thing about planes is waiting for the middle seat. So what I hate is when you get either the window or the aisle are the best seats. Obviously, you don't want to be middle seat, but it always sucks when no one's in your middle seat, and then you spend the whole rest of the boarding process holding your breath, hoping the person like you see they slowly start trickling. You're like, oh, no one's in the middle seat yet. And they keep slowly filtering in. You're like, please don't.
You're looking out the window of the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The flight actually worked. I didn't have anyone in my middle seat, but it was 10 to 15 minutes of dread where every person coming on, it'd be the boarding's done. I'm like, oh, I'm in the clear now. And then one person would straggle on. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm done now. And then they go somewhere else. Like, oh, thank God. And then I wrote, is anywhere in America expecting summer? I know right now when I'm recording this, there's a heat wave through the East Coast. So I think, yes, now we are. But the early beginning of this week, it was just raining everywhere. Every flight was delayed. It was just rain everywhere in America. Arizona is obviously very hot and sunny, but so I think Georgia and Cam, I guess, is wicked hot up there these next couple of days. Cause I know there's a heat wave rolling.
Yeah, it's 93 right now.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think Tuesday is gonna touch 104, and then the rest of the week's gonna hover around 95 to 100.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Which is not nice, obviously, but it has also been raining in New York for the last 2 weeks consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one. I think I would prefer just straight heat, because the humidity is what kills me.
Yeah. I got 90s till Tuesday, and then rain from Wednesday to next Wednesday. So that's awful.
Chunk of rain. That's a lot of rain.
Hopefully that does not happen. Every day is 30 to 40% chance. So hopefully it's scattered and not during the day, but that's awful.
Probably means it's gonna be crazy humid too, so that'll be just extra no fun.
It's the worst.
Tuesday, I was at work on site, and I mentioned OneNote not projecting your voice gives me an ick. I can't stand when people just talk super quietly, and then someone will like multiple times is even like, hey, we can't really hear you in the back. Can you speak up a little louder? And then they like increase their voice like 0.5 of a volume turn when we needed like 6 volume ticks up, and it just project your damn voice if you're talking in public. And then sports commentators who are mean to their team, I'm a big fan. I like that. When the local sports commentators are mean, I hate when a team like chokes in an embarrassing way, and the sports announcers for like the local team is just like, darn, we'll get him next time. So I think that's why I low-key kind of like Philly sports commentators, because they're really funny. They absolutely hate their teams, and it's really fun to watch them yell at their teams when they lose. Wednesday, Arizona driving has ruined me. Everyone here drives like a race car driver, and when I'm there's so many times in Pennsylvania where the speed limit would be like 60, and I realized I was going like 87, and I'm like, fuck, I need to slow down, or I'm gonna get caught here. But in Arizona, like everyone here drives like 100 miles per hour, and it's ridiculous. It's not safe, but it's ruined me. I'm used to it now, so I can't do it anywhere. Wrote, how did one conceptualize cemeteries? I was driving around Pennsylvania, and I didn't figure out how did no one realize people are going to die and you're going to run out of space eventually. So it's like,
how did one conceptualize cemeteries?
Yeah, where was the logic there? It's like
That's a
so
wild
many
note.
there's dead, pun intended, I guess, dead land now of just like graves. I'm like, how did the first person ever that buried someone and put a headstone wasn't like,
yeah.
you know, we're going to run out of space eventually here. Like, it's just logic wasn't really a thing back then.
Wasn't that like a thing where someone basically like did a study that the most wasted land in the world is cemeteries and golf courses?
I mean, golf courses does not surprise me. Cemeteries, maybe.
Like cemeteries, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I wrote delays in service. So, I got my flight got delayed like crazy because it was raining. Horrible service from Delta, which is unfortunate because Delta is usually like the gold standard of airlines. But my flight was delayed. My first flight, so I had to fly from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is like a small airport with like 9 gates total. I flew from there to Atlanta, and from Atlanta to Arizona. My flight to Atlanta got delayed, so my connection was only going to be like 15 minutes instead of an hour, and it was in a completely different terminal. So basically, I was cooked. There's no chance you can get in 15 minutes from like one terminal to another, especially because I wasn't even like really close to the front of the plane or anything. So deboarding took me forever. Got to Atlanta, tried to basically just run. I was like, might as well, because it was I was talking with support, and they were terrible, but it was the last flight of the day. So like basically my only option would be to like just like get a hotel in Atlanta and fly out the next day, which the earliest Delta flight from Atlanta to Phoenix the next day that had seats available was like 5 p.m. So I would have just like wasted a whole another 24 hours. So I was like, whatever, might as well try. So when I got to Atlanta, I just like sprinted to my gate. Was terrible. Got there because my second flight ended up being delayed, which was nice. So I ended up making it, but I was just like drenched in sweat by the time I got there because I was just sprinting to this humid airport. Got there, got home super late, way later than expected, way past midnight. But I got home Wednesday, so that was nice. Thursday was kind of a deleted day. Friday, Riley and I went to a museum. We went to the Arizona Science Museum, so that was fun. It was when I was at the airport, I saw the advertisement for it. The exhibit was the power of poison. So it was like a whole floor just like dedicated to poisons throughout history, which was very cool. So it was about like, talked a lot about movies, books, and then like real life examples, obviously, of poisons and different ways throughout history, and that people thought you'd be able to find cures for poison. And just poison's such a crazy thing because like obviously before like modern medical science, like it's kind of just like you can get away with so much stuff. So kind of just.
Have you been to a torture museum before? They're really cool.
I've not, but that sounds
like
that
all the
interesting.
apparatus and stuff.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Really
Like again, just like poison. That's like there's so many wild things people have done in history. But yeah, no, the poison museum was fun. Yeah, we're big museum fans. I'm a sucker for any museum. I could go to a museum about literally anything. Not
Anything
saying
ever.
that every time that I go to a museum and spend my money, I walk away thinking like, yeah, that was like worth my money and like I had a great time. But like I'll go regardless to any museum.
What's the best museum you've ever been to, Tyler?
Oh man, I don't know. This is why I wrote notes. Like you can't be asking on the spot questions this early, man. I can't.
Don't go off script right now.
Yeah,
George, what's the best museum you've ever been to? No, you fucking guys, man.
I don't know, man.
What's the best museum you've ever been to, Seth?
Come on.
Oh, I went to there's a crazy, amazing Holocaust museum in Amsterdam that was like life-changing stuff. That's the best one. But I'm like you. I'll go to a museum about like anything.
Dude,
like
we should
the
go
Met.
to. Yeah, I was gonna say we're definitely going to the Met. And then I might
Cam
take you
hates
guys to the
museums.
museum.
Cam will
No,
say
it doesn't matter.
Cam will come.
Cam
We're
will
going to
come.
the
my
Met.
favorite
You have to go to
museum
the
is.
Met.
The Met is a
Of
bust.
Of course I
And
will. Of course I will. I'm not
I
gonna.
might take you guys to the Museum of the Moving Image in Brooklyn. Or
Take me
in
to
Los
all,
That's
take me
just
to
a
all the
movie theater.
museums.
Yeah, no, it's a movie museum. There's a theater there, but it's a museum.
My
Take me
joke
to all
was
of
just
them.
like movies.
Call it a
Movie
snoozeum,
Just-
am I right?
that's all.
No.
Yeah,
Ask me
not
what my
true.
favorite museum is, Seth, because I actually have an answer.
Basketball Museum Hall of Fame, is that in Indiana? I'm just guessing because
What's your favorite museum?
There's a children's museum in Indiana that Bailey really loves, and it's quite fun. You go and do a couple little games here and there, and it has a giant bumblebee standing right now.
Like
it's got a really
Michael
cool
Bay?
outdoor area.
Michael
Like
Bay
a
Blueprint?
car bumblebee.
I went
or an
straight to
actual
Transformers.
Yeah, like the
then.
car bumblebee. Yeah, no, it was like a
Oh,
car
okay. I think
Oh,
like a
It's a
bee.
giant
Yeah,
bumblebee
okay.
statue. It's like 30 feet tall or something.
Oh, it's a
got
slot museum.
It's got a dinosaur.
Yes.
It's got a
wonder
dinosaur
it's
that
his
like comes
favorite.
out of the
Yeah.
side of the building. Looks fun.
Nice.
Shout out the Indianapolis Children's Museum. That shit bangs. And
We're gonna convert you to being a museite.
I mean, like
That's not
I'm not. Emma was actually like Emma was pumped for the museum and was like, "You can't be lame, Cam. This is like what New York is." And I was like, "All right, I'll accept." So I'm excited now. So sorry for being lame Midwestern, but I
It'll be
just I
fun.
can't imagine I'll be enthralled by the Mona Lisa or anything.
Well,
It's not
That's not
You
New
won't
York.
see it.
I know I'm stoked. All right,
well,
Got
that goes to Paris. It's all good, bro.
I know.
Wait, if we're also if we're considering Hall of Fame's museums, then I've been to the International Tennis Hall of Fame, and I'll call that my favorite museum.
Yeah, I consider it like a basic museum, just anywhere you find historical artifacts and history about. a
Oh,
certain
yeah.
topic.
I went to
I would
the-
count
well,
Hall of Fames as a museum.
I went to the Barcelona one in Barcelona like last month, and they had Messi. I saw a Messi shirt.
Yeah, I remember you
IRL,
posted
yeah.
a picture of that.
Bro, that's crazy. You know, that's
Yeah.
probably that's probably.
Yeah, when I lived in Frisco, Texas, that's where the National Soccer Hall of Fame is for America, and
Yeah.
it's relatively new. It's where FC Dallas Stadium is, and that museum is pretty sick because it's super modern. There's like a VR game where you put on a VR headset, and you get like these hand things, and basically you can go through you can pick historical like penalty kick shooters, and you get to try and see what the
Oh.
reaction time would have to be to block them. Hard as
That's
fuck.
cool.
I
That's
was like,
cool.
Dude, I was terrible at that game because you got to be
That's
fast
sick.
as hell. But that was a fun museum. But just like DC has tons of cool museums. Obviously, all those
Yeah.
Smithsonian's are really awesome. And you can have a range of stuff from aerospace to just human history to anything. So I think I spent the whole day in DC by myself and just walked through all the Smithsonian museums. So I guess
Nice.
those are pretty cool. But no, the Poison Museum is cool. After that, we went to Korean barbecue. Just absolutely goated meal. It's this place in
I got food
Scottsdale.
poisoning from Korean
Oh,
barbecue.
well, isn't that kind of a skill issue? You got to cook it yourself.
Yep, can't blame them. Can't blame them. That one's definitely on me.
Yeah.
The immediate get fucked.
Yep. I can't go back, but yeah, no, that one's on me for sure.
Crazy.
I wish I had the name of this place because it's in Scottsdale and it's in
Is it
a very
K-pop?
poppin' part of town. But two people there's no one there anytime we go. But there's a ton of
K-Town or something like that.
no.
That's what
There's
happens.
a lot of different places in the Phoenix area that do Korean barbecue. But this place, we love it. But we got that, dominated it. Then we went to the mall. Went 28 years later. Good times. And then yesterday, what did we do? Not a whole lot that I'm remembering. But then lovely Seth got us a board game as a gift. What's it called? Horrified, I believe. It's Universal Monster Movies. It's a co-op board game, so it's 1 to 5 players, but you're all playing together to try and defeat the monsters. We lost. We only played one game because it took an hour and a half, and
is it that long?
Yeah, but plus it's a pretty complex game to learn. So it's we spent a lot of time figuring out the setup, and there's a ton of pieces to it.
Yeah.
But it was a very fun game. We gotta play again and obviously win this time. But we got very close to the end and lost. So it's fun. It's a co-op game, defeating monsters from the Universal Monster movies. So that was a good time. So that was pretty much my week. A lot of travel, a lot of delayed travel. And then I'm happy to be back. And yeah.
My cat's whining like crazy for food right now. But
Is that yours? I thought it was mine.
no,
Okay.
it's mine. We usually feed our pets at like 9 and then like 3:30, and it's 5:28. So Ramsey's got to just
Really, with a cat?
tighten up, man.
Yeah.
Do you do with a cat? Do you feed it 3 times a day or twice a day?
Twice a day. Both are dogs.
Oh wait, how old's your cat though?
Well, one cat's like 3, and the other cat's like 4.
Oh, so it's not like kids. Okay, yeah.
No, yeah, kittens you got to feed like a lot.
3 times.
But
Yeah.
Our cat, we just leave food out 24/7.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
but is
cat's,
your-
my cat's fat, dude. Like if we don't ration him, he would eat until he actually kills himself. He would just
Oh,
not
that's
stop
nice.
eating until he bursts. Yeah,
Really?
That's,
yeah.
that's fair.
Jesus.
got
Are
kittens.
your
Just
cats
leave it
out?
out.
Are your cats outdoor cats though?
Mine are not. No.
Mine's not. No, it's too
Cam,
dangerous. It's too
are
risky.
yours
around
or-
here, I think.
No, we don't have outside animals really.
Yeah.
My Emma's dad has an outdoor cat that just comes in and
It just get run over quite often. You know, if you're near like roads. and
Yeah,
stuff,
Emma's
it's
dad
like-
lives in like the country, middle of.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do it if it
not
was like
the
that.
middle of nowhere, but no, our cats are inside cats. Sometimes in the summer, Emma will let like one of them out because one is very curious, the other doesn't care. And she just hangs around. But I think when we first moved into this house, Emma did that, and then she got a tick. So that just kind of put a damper on the whole outdoor experience. Like realized pretty quick, oh yeah, we don't get them vaccinated because they never leave this house. So yeah, probably. I mean, they get their like normal shots, but they don't.
The shots ones.
Outdoor
Yeah,
cats are
they
sick
don't.
though. Riley's family has an outdoor cat, which was like Riley's cat growing up, but stays with their parents now. And yeah, it's just like there's always just like animal carcasses, and it's like den in the
Yep.
garage. Like it's a hunter forager. It's very
Yeah,
primal, kind of sick.
I just worry. I think you know.
yeah.
I don't
Emma's
know,
dad
dude.
lives by like
Cats are like the
coyotes and
predator,
stuff,
the
and-
apex.
No, I mean worried about
This
them
cat
getting hit
doesn't
by a
care
car
at
and
all.
shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cam, you may as well carry on because I was going to come to you with your week.
Good week. It was Emma's birthday, so I had a 3-day work week. Got Juneteenth off, and then took off Friday, so that made it for a great week in itself. Spent. We have a friend named Andrew. Like he comes over quite often. He also had Juneteenth off, and then also took Friday off, and Andy's taking Monday off. He hasn't left our house yet, so that's been a good
Nice.
time.
You
He
charge him
stays-
rent?
It just stays over and hangs out. So like basically just he like vacationed at our house this week. He lives 30 minutes down the road in Indianapolis, but so we had a really good week. Emma's birthday is tomorrow, so when this episode drops, so everyone in the comments say happy birthday to Emma.
Happy birthday, Emma.
Thank you. So we went to Purdue on Friday night. We went to like the old college bars, which was a fun time. Went to Harry's for the most part. I got belligerently drunk, roamed campus, puked on campus, bought 2 waters from a random gas station. And couldn't bring them back into the bar because you can't bring outside drinks. So I we were like a 10-minute walk from the hotel. I walked halfway back to the hotel and hid them in 2 different bushes to scavenge for them after the bar trip. So Emma's texting me where are you? And I'm like, I'm just walking random places, went to old places that I lived on campus. Not my finest moment, but shoot, I've had plenty worse. So honestly, not the worst moment, even close.
I need more drunk cam TikToks. That was peak content.
That was funny, yeah.
Sober, yeah. But then I got back to the hotel, threw up and passed out in the hotel lobby bathroom.
Oh, wow.
Are you always a drunk thrower upper, Cam?
Yeah, if I get drunk, it's kind of over.
God.
Yeah.
Dude, your TikTok video had me cracking up.
Yeah,
Man. That was
wanted to
so
know- I don't know.
funny.
Just wanted to know what people were most excited for.
That was so funny.
but yeah, woke up at like 2 a.m. The hotel manager or night shift manager like woke me up at 2 a.m. in the bathroom. Didn't see my face, luckily, but definitely thought I was a homeless person living in that, like trying to sleep in the bathroom. He was like, "You all right, man?" I go, "Oh," and I like shot up because like it woke me up and startled me. I was like, "Yeah, good." And he goes, "You know, unfortunately, you can't really stay here unless you're staying guest at the hotel. I'm gonna come back in a couple minutes, and you got to be gone, man, or something like that." And I was like, "All right, sounds good." So I skedaddled out of there, slipped past the like front desk. He never saw my face, so it doesn't like have a mental image of the guy who passed out on their hotel bathroom floor.
Walsh 27 cancelled.
Okay,
frankly, like I tell that story without any bit of shame because honestly, that one's not too bad. There've been worse.
That's a funny
so
one.
we'll take that. But yeah, and then I get back in the room at this is like 2:16. I texted like my Emma and our friends, and I was like, just like the hotel staff definitely just thought I was a homeless person. I just got back in the room. They're not back, and then like they walk in like 2 minutes later. So like timed it perfectly for this abrupt wake up to going back, because I'm sure if they came back to the room and I wasn't there would have been some questions. But they were like, "Have you been here this whole time?" I'm like, "Actually, no, just got back." So yeah, they were out having a really good time. So yeah, happy birthday to Emma. I think she had hopefully she had a lot of fun. And then we had like
sounds
dinner
like
with
you
her
had a
parents
lot
and
of
stuff.
fun.
Yeah. Did you see Emma this night?
Yeah, we saw each other up until about midnight. At about midnight, I'm a big I bebop a lot. Like it just kind of move around, get mobile, get stealthy with it, go see the sights. So I might just head out from the bar at some point, but like probably not New York because I
look forward to
won't know
losing you.
anything.
I was gonna say I don't want
Yeah.
to lose you and then call you and be like,
Imagine
where are you?
we go out and we're just like, shit, man, where's Cam?
Find out Cam made his way to like Brooklyn or something by himself.
He's in Hobo.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I gotta keep it reserved in New York. I'm a really bad hangover guy. Like
I feel like I get really.
I cannot like if I have a bad hangover, I genuinely will not do anything until like 6 p.m. the next day. Like I won't be able to move. I like get crippled and locked up. So I think I'll be reserved in New York as to not ruin anyone else's trip or travel experience.
You're a very interesting person in the nicest way. I just like listening to you, Cam. It's very.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I figured that'd be a great story for the day. So yeah, happy birthday, Emma. Love you very much. All that jazz.
Don't worry, in New York. You can be as hungover as possible in New York. Yeah, I promise you won't ruin our days. We'll be doing stuff without you.
Yeah, but if you get drunk on the Saturday and you got to get up at like 6 a.m. or something,
that's going to be an issue. Weddings
you're
are
going to be
on.
You're going to drink a lot at the wedding, and then your flight's at 9 a.m. the next
morning.
This
is why I booked a later flight on Sunday.
Yeah, and I don't know if I can do that. So like, I genuinely think, like, to make the flight, I don't know if I'm capable of doing that. So I think I have.
Would it cost you
to the airport from the wedding and just like sleep at your gate? I think that's
such an early flight.
I don't know. I
don't
know what you were thinking when you booked like 9. I thought you'd.
I'm going immediately to Michigan right after for a family vacation. We go to Michigan every year. So I'm flying not back to Indiana. I'm flying to Michigan. So the idea was getting there earlier rather than later, and it's a very small airport that we're flying into. So there were like it was either 9 a.m. or like 6 p.m. kind of thing, which. 6 p.m. is just a little too late.
Damn, you back-to-back weeks of vacation?
Yeah, very excited.
That's major.
Yeah. How far is Michigan from New York?
It's the same as Indiana. Well, it's not the same if you're driving, but like flight-wise,
like
it's the same as Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a couple-hour flight, 2.5 hours. And it's not on vacation. It's still on baby bonding. So hell yeah, it's nice.
We didn't. You didn't cover like what we've been watching, did we? I just
I was
realized.
gonna say
My mistake or Tyler's
Tyler, do you want
mistake
to
as
do
well.
yours after? And then-
Yeah, I'll do mine after
I,
Cameron.
yeah, that's fine.
I really only watched the 28. I actually didn't get. I watched half of 28 weeks later, and then honestly,
Yeah, you saw the good part. That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went to Purdue, and then Emma's grandparents. So like, I just didn't have time, and then I went to see 28 years later and Elio last night. So watched those. Watched 2 of the Hunger Games. We finished the Hunger Games series, or maybe watched the whole franchise this week. I don't remember where I left off last week, but Emma was big into the Hunger Games franchise. Liked them honestly a lot more than Harry Potter. Which is a bummer, but I mean, Catching Fire is better than all of the Harry Potters. That's what I'll say.
come on.
Catching Fire is so fucking good. Don't
It's
be like that.
good, but come on.
It's so goddamn
That isn't
good.
all the
It's
Harry
no
Potter?
Prisoner of Azkaban, bro. It's not even
Better.
Deathly Hallows Part 1.
That's my take of the week is Catching
your
Fire
hot take.
peaks higher.
I don't
than
think
every
it's
other
hot take.
every other Hunger Games is definitely worse, but Catching Fire is so good. But yeah, she really liked those, so that's good. But that's really all I've been watching this week.
Tyler, do you want to give your?
Yeah, I didn't watch a whole lot. So I mentioned Before Sunrise. That was a really great experience on the flights, and then Riley watched it as well. She didn't like it nearly as much, but like I knew that. Like I was like, I want you to watch it because like I got a lot out of it from our relationship. But like I knew she's not like a romance film person, and like absolutely despises like a film like a Walk and Talk like that. So she needs like supernatural science fiction stuff like that to get into like a movie. So I knew she wouldn't get to like it, but we still watched it together, so or kind of together. I was on a flight, but I rewatched Rear Window. Yeah, so Rear Window and Before Sunrise are back-to-back watches on back-to-back days, and then both of them when I finished watching them, like yeah, that might be like my favorite movie ever made. So yeah, great experience with both of those. But Rear Window is so damn good, man. Like I love that film. It might be my favorite Hitchcock. But yeah, the first time I watched it, I loved it. But this is my second time watching it, and it's such a banger. James Stewart, love him and everything. Grace Kelly, Seth and I talked about her at length in our review of Dial M for Murder on Patreon the other day. Or was it Dial M for Murder? When did we talk about Grace Kelly?
Like 2 weeks ago, like because me and George did the last one.
Yeah, but yeah, great. Just a great pairing together in that film, and the suspense is insane. And it's again, we talked about it again in our Hitchcock review previously, but it's like he can just make single location films feel so much more grand than that.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I watched other than 28 Years Later in Elio, which we're going to talk about in this episode, is 42. Just like a solid sports baseball movie. I think Chadwick Boseman's really great, but I think the film itself is very okay. It's not like whitewashing levels that The Blind Side is, but it's more just like a super sanitized version of history that like obviously what Jackie Robinson had to go through and endure to be the pioneer that he is, to be maybe like the most consequential, like influential, important athlete in American history, period. And it was just like it's a very like Disney-fied story. So nothing like wrong with that, I guess. It's just okay. It's like not what I don't know. I think we could have went a lot deeper, especially with the talents of Chadwick Boseman. He would be able to handle a script that goes a lot more deeper and darker. But this is a very palatable movie for the kids, I guess. But also like I didn't know how to phrase this. I didn't put in my review, but like all the actors they cast as like his white teammates like that, like hate him at the beginning, like just like look very racist. So I was like trying to figure out a way of saying like they did like a great job like casting them, because I was like, this is a team full of people that just like look like they would hate this guy. So I was like, bravo to the casting department, but I didn't know how to write that in words without sounding like a weird psychopath. So I just stayed on the podcast. Yeah. I think the casting director has an eye for racist people. I don't know. I was just like, yeah, these look exactly like the type of dude that would hate this guy.
Hilarious observation.
At the time, yeah. But Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. That's all. And Harrison Ford, a very silly performance from him.
George, you can do 2 in 1, actually.
Yeah, I'll do everything. My week was good. Didn't really get up to much. Had off for Juneteenth, so spent that day kind of relaxing a little bit, cleaning the apartment. Saw 28 Years Later on that day. It was it's like annoying when it's like either like pouring rain or really, really hot on like days off of work, because you just never want to do anything in the city. And it was both on Juneteenth. It was the day started like really fucking hot, Then the skies opened for like an hour and it was pouring rain. And then after, it was stupid hot, not raining, and insanely like humid and muggy. I went on a walk after it rained, maybe like for a half hour. You would have thought I took a shower. I was dripping in sweat. It was unbelievably hot that day. I think I took 3 showers that day, which is just unreal.
Are you a cold shower guy?
I am a cold shower guy.
I love a cold shower. You know, in the summer
Yeah.
as well, it's like the
Yeah.
best.
Literally, I get home from the gym, cold shower. I came home from where I played golf yesterday. It was, I don't know, it was maybe like 80 something degrees. I obviously didn't wear sunscreen because I'm stupid. So I got burned up, stepped into the shower and just stood there with cold water just pouring down my back. It felt great. But yeah, that's kind of the week. It's like a graduation week for Victoria and I. We had my younger cousin's high school graduation, little dinner party on Friday. Tonight, we're going out to Long Island for her little cousin's graduation party, high school graduation party. And then yesterday, I was in Jersey golfing with some friends. We've been trying to get out to golf as much as we can. It's been like I've been saying, it's been a busy year for like all of us in my friend group. So whenever we have like a free day, we've been trying to get together and golf. So golfed in New York, in New Jersey, played. I say I played bad. I shot 101, which is like super standard for me. Like I can't be mad about 101. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It was a really bad front nine. I had a really tough front nine. I think I shot a 54 on the front nine, which is bad. My goal every round of golf is sub 50 on the front nine and the back nine. That's typically my goal.
Break 100.
Break 100. That's always the goal. So I shot a 54 on the front nine, and then I shot a 47 on the back nine. So I was happy with my back nine. I kind of locked in a little bit. I was playing a little better, a little calmer brand of tennis, of golf, not tennis. So yeah, it was fun. I like golf. It's just a very frustrating sport, and I'm not.
Are we hitting the links while we're out in New York?
I was gonna ask you guys. I know. Yeah, I'm sure. Seth, would you?
I absolutely would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never played golf in my life.
Yeah. So, like I would say, so one day, either Monday and Tuesday, one of those days will be your city day, and the other one of those days will be like the chill at the Airbnb, sit by the pool, relax, just spend the day hanging out. We can go do things like go get breakfast on Long Island, go walking at there's a state park near the North
I think
Shore.
that might be Monday.
Yeah, so if you guys want to do that Monday, we can also golf like early in the morning one of those days. Or if you guys want to golf on like Wednesday, I mean, we'll figure it out. We have time.
I'll golf.
But yeah, I was gonna ask you guys about golf. I didn't know if you wanted to throw that in the itinerary, even if we play just like a quick 9 in the morning before like the girls like get ready for their day or something. But we'll figure it out. I'd love to get out with you guys. So either way, that's definitely something we're thinking about. What else did I do this week? Not much. It was work. Work from home on Friday, which was nice. Typically, I only work from home on Tuesdays. So I was home on Friday, which was nice. Kind of worked like not a half. It's nice working from home on a Friday because it's not too busy. So like while I'm working, I'm like cleaning the apartment. I'm going out, running some errands. I'm doing my laundry, doing some grocery shopping for the weekend and the following week. And that's like just rare to be working from home on a Friday. So I like to take advantage of that stuff. In terms of what I've been watching, dude, Love Island is taking up a lot of my time right now.
Oh, George.
People are real into Love Island right now.
Dude,
man.
let me tell you something. I was such a hater, and now I've like sat down and I've watched every episode of this season with Victoria. Love Island is somehow the worst and greatest television show I've ever seen. It fits both of those categories. Episode 13 had me losing my mind. It was so funny. This show is so stupid. It is so unbelievably embarrassing and like I have secondhand embarrassment watching this show. It's so funny, but like it's like a drug, man. It's like I just keep coming back. Like there was no episode last night, and I was literally like, damn, like fuck, I really want an episode of Love Island right now. And there's an episode tonight, and I'm very excited about that.
Are you watching the US one? Is
Yeah,
there
I'm
US
watching
one?
the-
Is that new? Is that so many US people watching it now? Like on my
No, but
there's-
it's like exploded in popularity.
Yeah.
now. But
It
I can
has,
never
yeah.
watch US. Like Riley wanted to start watching it. I said I'll watch Love Island UK with you, but I can't do the US.
Yeah, it's
I'm a UK truther.
it's so, dude, it's so unbelievably embarrassing. This show, it's the way I describe it is you need to, it's a show that obviously doesn't matter. Like nothing that happens on this show is real necessarily. Nothing that happens on this show is going to last, blah, blah, blah. So you need to cast people in this reality show who are stupid enough to believe that what's going on in the villa is actually like real and like meaningful, because that's where you get like all of the drama is it's like if they don't believe it, if they don't buy into the bit, this show wouldn't work. But the fact that everyone on this show, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, they're all stupid. If they're not stupid enough, this show wouldn't work. And it's so funny listening to them have conversations, and they're like, yeah, I'm really feeling a connection with you. Like I could see, spending the rest of my life with you. And then you think like they've known each other for 4 days. And dude, it's a funny show. It's a funny show. It's a good show. I'm so invested. I hate everyone on this show except maybe like 3 people. But I'm very invested into Love Island right now. That's legitimately taking up my watching stuff. Like I haven't been watching a lot of movies. Some Like It Hot, which Seth and I spoke about last week on the Patreon. So if you want to hear full thoughts on that, go listen to that or go check the links below in our bio for Patreon. Seth, I said on that review that I want to watch that movie with Victoria because I think she'd love it. Apparently she does love it. Apparently she's seen it, which I didn't know. So
wait, Some Like It Hot?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea she had seen it.
Nice.
So yeah, she does love the movie. I watched 28 Weeks Later before I watched 28 Years Later. I wanted to read, so that's one I haven't revisited in a very, very long time. I had revisited it 28 Days Later, maybe like a month ago. I think when the final 28 Years Later trailer came out, I was like, all right, let me start this catch up. I like 20. I mean, we're gonna talk that trilogy soon. Sorry. I won't. I completely forgot about that. And then 28 Years Later, and then Pride and Prejudice. I watched Pride and Prejudice last night. That was my first watch. I really loved it. I know we're going to talk in depth about it on the Patreon review. So same thing. If you want in-depth thoughts on Pride and Prejudice, check out our Patreon. But yeah, I really loved it. I really came out of that a little stunned at how much I loved it. We even started it like at 9:30, which is a little late for us to be starting movies.
Had Victoria never seen it?
No, Victoria's seen it.
Okay, I was gonna say that'd be shocking.
No,
Yeah,
Victoria. It's always been one of Victoria's favorite movies, but it's never been one that she's like convinced me to sit down and watch because you guys, I'm not the biggest period piece guy. So even going into Pride and Prejudice, I was a little like weary, a little nervous. But yeah, I locked in 2 hours and 20 minutes, or I think it's actually just 2 hours on the dot. And I was just locked in, man. I really was. I really liked that movie. I really liked that experience.
Do you know what would make a great period piece sequel for that, George?
No.
Harry Lyndon. That's what really, really good follow up for you.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Maybe I'll continue my period piece journey.
No, you're not. Don't.
I won't. I'll say I will, but I won't.
I know.
But yeah, that's been my week. I know you guys are letting me talk about the fundraiser a little bit, so I do want to spend some time on that.
Mm-hmm.
So let me yap for a bit. So yeah, I what's up?
Just I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I forgot what you were gonna talk for a sec. Happy Pride, happy mental health month, all of that as well.
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
You talk now. Sorry, I didn't.
No,
really
say
cool.
happy Pride, happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Yeah, I posted that video of the. Where did Cam go? Cam just dip on us?
Was that his buy?
Okay. Yeah. So I posted that video of kicking off this fundraiser that I'm doing on behalf of the Testicular Cancer Awareness Foundation. So, what the Testicular Cancer Awareness Foundation is this foundation dedicated to raising awareness and education around testicular cancer, and it's also it stresses early detection. So I had a call with this woman named Kim Jones, who is the founder and CEO of the foundation. And she is stressing, obviously, as well as her foundation, they stress early detection. So really sad story. But essentially, Kim lost her son at the age of like 15 or 16 to testicular cancer because they had not detected it until it was already stage 4. So she is obviously committed to raising awareness and education, as well as being able to provide for patients and survivors and caregivers in any way, capacity that she can. But she's also stressing early detection, obviously because of just the very sad experience that she had with testicular cancer and losing her son at a very young age. That part alone, the early detection, that obviously meant a lot to me. I detected mine very early. Pretty much as early as you can detect it. You still kind of catch the worst of it. It still came back. So, but it's something very important to me that Kim was kind of describing in her foundation. Is not only are they there to provide support to patients and survivors and caregivers, but they're also there to stress early detection and educate young men. So the overall goal of this foundation is essentially to get testicular cancer awareness and education in public schools, the same way that there is, frequent education around, more common cancers like leukemia or breast cancer. Kim was basically saying that, the way women are taught to check their breasts every month from a very young age, that's the overall goal of this foundation on the men's side with testicles, is to get men to regularly, frequently check their testicles and detect, know what to look for, know what to feel for. And if that saves any amount of lives, which I'm sure it does, early detection is always key. And obviously, like I said, I detected mine just incredibly early. It was, I woke up one day and there was obviously something wrong down there. I immediately felt it. And the next day I was in the doctor's office, and a week later I was in surgery. So, early detection is great. And I love that this foundation is stressing, education and not only just broad education, but education to men and boys between the ages of like 15 and 25 to 30. It is the most common cancer among men between the ages of 15 and 45. But it's also very important to, start them young and start teaching these boys, what to look for, what to feel for at a young age, so that they can make this a regular exam, on their own. So I had a really great call with Kim, and this was a while back. I had texted you guys a long time ago about doing a fundraiser, and when I say a long time ago, probably like early days of the podcast. After the first diagnosis. But then, the second diagnosis came around. So obviously I was a little all over the place. And then, recovery post chemo and surgery, kind of also threw this effort in the backbone. But I've been sitting on the script to that video for a while. I wanted to initially post this fundraiser back in April, which is Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. But my April ended up just being, so that was like the month of bachelor parties where I was away, and it was just very busy and just not enough time for me to like really commit to it and focus on it. So I was like, let me hold it off until June, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's also something that, sits very close to me and is very personal. So I was like, that's a perfect opportunity to talk about one, let's post just one long video and kill two birds with one stone. So I'm really happy with the reception so far. It's been absolutely fantastic. Obviously the immediate reception on the videos in terms of comments and engagements has been fantastic. But also the donations. I think we just crossed 3,000 raised, which is incredible. Which I'm very blessed, and I appreciate everyone's support if you donated. And like I said, even if you don't donate, engagement on my TikTok videos is also key. I have pledged on my side, my next 2 TikTok creator fund payouts will go directly to this fundraiser. Unfortunately, I am too inconsistent on TikTok to have like an approximation on what that month will be. 1 month I can make X amount, and the next month I can make 2X amount or 0.5X amount. So I'm going to try and post on my end a lot more over the next 2 months so that the opportunities for engagement are there. So like I said, even if you can't donate, any engagement on my video will directly contribute to a donation. So I'll post an update video on July 15th and then August 15th, which are my next 2 payout dates. And, we'll keep this going. The fundraiser technically doesn't end. Even after August 15th, it'll always be open. So if you ever feel the need to donate, or if you ever feel the need to just educate yourself, there are links on the fundraiser page directly to the Testicular Cancer Awareness Foundation's page, and you can kind of find all the information you need there. And of course, if you want to reach out to me, like we all stress this on the podcast all the time. If you want to talk, our DMs are open. I know a lot of you guys have reached out to me over the last week since I've posted that video, just kind of asking me like personal experience on like what I felt, initially. What was going on down there initially and how I kind of, thought, oh, okay, this isn't good. And then a lot of people have also just been DMing me, life updates and, for general advice, etc. So it's nice. I appreciate if you've DM'd me. I appreciate you guys being vulnerable in my DMs. It does mean a lot to me that you guys confide in me that much and look up to me, Seth, Cam, and Tyler in that way to, be vulnerable with us. So that's the fundraiser. That's kind of the effort. I feel like I'm at a point in my social media career where that's like the bare minimum I could be doing. So I hope to grow this and I hope to continue it. I was talking to when I had spoken to Kim, I was asking like, in what ways do people typically fundraise besides just creating like a fundraising page? And she said pretty much everything. You have people running marathons on behalf of the foundation. You have people hosting golf outings on behalf of the foundation. She told me that someone a couple months ago did like this outdoor movie event where you pay $2-3 for a ticket, and all of that money goes directly to the foundation. So there are a lot of ways to fundraise. So I hope that, and I don't hope that, I know it's going to happen. This is on me. But I'm hopefully going to, do something active on behalf of the foundation and fundraising, as opposed to just creating this portal and asking people to donate, make it a little more worthwhile. So that's the rant. That's the spiel. Thank you guys for letting me touch on that a little bit. And like I said in my TikTok video, and like the 4 of us always say, our DMs are always open. So if you guys want to talk about literally anything, if you want to be vulnerable with us, if you have health scares that you are concerned about and you're unsure about, just reach out. We're here to talk. We're here to chat. We're cool guys. We're open guys, and we appreciate the vulnerability. So that's the foundation. I think we're gonna throw a link in the bio.
Yeah.
So we'll throw the link in the bio, and it's also in the bio of all my socials. So again, I appreciate you guys for donating. I appreciate you guys for engaging in
$3,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know I have like a committed fan base, and I know I have like a lot of like very genuine people. Yeah, so I am very blessed to start this fundraiser, at a point where I have a TikTok following and a social media presence, and it's nice. It's nice that people step up to the plate like that, and I do really appreciate everyone that's donated or even engaged in my content. I've had people send me my own video on Instagram, literally writing, sharing this just for engagement to help your fund, or on TikTok. I mean, so I'm like, there's a lot of good people out there, and I really do appreciate everyone that's donated and engaged with my stuff. But link will be in the bio, and like I said, all of my social media bios as well. The link is there. And if you want more general information about the foundation, if you want more general information about early signs of testicular cancer, if you want any information about how maybe you want to do your part personally or individually, you can visit the Testicular Cancer Awareness Foundation website. So much information there, so much great information there about fundraising and supporting and educating. They talk about their mission. They talk about Kim and her son and the experience that she went through. It is a sad read, of course, so prepare yourself, but it's a great foundation. I had a great conversation with Kim, and I'm excited to kind of continue that. I guess it's not really a partnership, but I'm excited to continue exploring, ways in which we can fundraise.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, I mean, like money isn't everything as well. If you can't afford it, just share, go on George's Instagram, TikTok, share it as much as you can. Because again, it's just the publicity means a lot, and I think that'll help to raise as much funds as possible. But yeah, my week, it's very hot here. It's very hot here.
What is
I
very
saw
hot?
y'all are getting a heat wave too. It's
Well,
just like
I mean-
heat wave across the world right now.
It's if I say something's hot, you can be like, it's not that hot. We don't have AC here, so it's fucking hot. I think we're like the equivalent of like 90, 95.
And y'all are
few days
humid
this
there.
week.
It's humid there too, right?
It's crazy humid.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Like it's to the point now where it's just not fun. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like sleeping shit. I went for a hike yesterday, which was nice with a few friends. But like you just feel awful after a while. You know, after a few hours of being outside. That's great.
Mhm.
I went to like a Universal event the other day. It was I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. Yeah, fuck you, I am. They
Yeah,
blue
real shit.
balled us to fuck, right? So essentially the event was like, it was a Universal. It was quite like exclusive. There wasn't as many people there, maybe like 40, 50. And it was showing us like some new trailers for some new releases and stuff.
Were you waiting for the Odyssey?
Well, okay, so we had the tweets that came out. It was like they're going to show it prior to some of the Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the woman, like one of the executives at Universal, comes out at the start and she's like, you know, we've got a lot of exciting releases coming out in the next year or two. And then she specifically said she was like the Odyssey, and everyone looked at each other and was like, oh shit, we're about to get the Odyssey teaser. We didn't get the Odyssey teaser, so she just like blue balled us to fuck. We didn't see a thing of the Odyssey, but we did see Jurassic World Rebirth. It's not good.
When does that come out?
2 weeks.
Does it?
I think. Yeah.
You guys saw it early as fuck.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm allowed to give like a reaction, like what I just did. I'm not allowed to actually go into detail.
You're not allowed to talk about it. Wait, so why was Soups allowed to post about it?
I don't know, like unless it's like a UK embargo, not a US one.
Yeah,
Because like
maybe.
Sammy reviewed it as well. I think I'm pretty sure he did. I didn't like it. I don't know. It's very long. It's very long.
I'm excited, man. I'm a Gareth Edwards stan. You know that.
Yeah, this is true. I'm not that much, so probably why I didn't like it. But Scarlett Johansson never looked better. As I said in my tweets, there's a positive. I'm pretty good to see it. But yeah, shit work week, busy, too hot, blah. Oh, I went on a podcast on Friday night, Popcorn Podcast, a guy called Dylan in the UK. Crazy setup. That was really, really cool. So I'll shout that out when he comes out. What else other than nothing really? I didn't do the watch last week, did I? Oh, okay, I came late, I think, because you were doing.
Yeah, because you didn't join until like
Yeah.
So
I watched Monsters University. I wish Cam was here now because I want to express my love for it. It's really good. Like it's really good. I watched A Working Man.
I saw that. Why'd you do that?
I don't know. Like I didn't mind Beekeeper. I was like, I just saw it on Prime. I was like, let's just check it on. It's fucking awful. I hate it.
A Working Man is better than Beekeeper.
No. And I didn't even love Beekeeper. I give Beekeeper.
Yeah, they're both not great. Let me make that very clear.
I watched that new. Have you seen that new comedy on Prime with Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, and I can't remember the other guy's name. You've not seen it advertised. It's like
didn't you and I just talk about this on the Patreon review? I think.
Oh yeah, we did. No, we talked about it before we recorded though. I said I watched it.
Before we recorded. Right.
Bro, Orlando Bloom needs to do more comedies because he's the best thing about it by far. He's so fucking funny. It really surprised me. That was quite cool. 20 weeks later, 20 years later, 28 days later, watched them. That's I watched that Echo Valley as well. You know, the new like Julianne Moore, Sydney Sweeney. It's cool. I didn't love it by any means, but it's cool. Yeah, that's kind of it. I guess we'll move on to. Do we want to do?
You guys see this?
What?
This thing is like 7 feet tall.
The tree in your
Dude,
in
it's
your
getting
apartment?
crazy because this second part here is also growing. So I'm going to have 2 of these that are 7 feet tall, and it's getting insane. I need to go buy a new stick and hold it up because it's not staying up straight.
It's like a jungle. You're gonna end up like Tyler's background.
I mean, this one's limp dick on me. This one is This is so heavy.
That's cool. I need more plants. I need plants to buy actually. It's a nice idea to have. Do you guys want to do? I mean, we're going to do 28 years later. We're going to move on swiftly onto that. But like, do you want to do?
Still the 28 stuff. I think we should probably do days and weeks. Just
let's
cover
do
that
days,
quick and then
weeks.
years.
Yeah, cool. I mean, 28 days. I'm just going to shout out the Patreon here quickly. We did actually review. It was one of our, I think it was like an early days Patreon
Was
review.
it?
Or was it
Yeah.
a YouTube review? Was it when we were doing
I'll
YouTube?
check. It might be YouTube.
We did. It might be YouTube actually because it feels like it was fucking ages ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm checking.
Let me see.
I do not remember.
Yeah, because that was
Yeah,
like,
1
Yeah,
year
we
ago.
did.
was it
Yeah.
YouTube?
Real quick episode 101. Yeah.
Okay, so
YouTube.
shout out real quick episode 101 if you want like
Yeah.
a kind of more in-depth review because we won't be going into too much detail on that. Go to there. Me, Tyler, and George reviewed it then. But 28 days later, to give you kind of the synopsis, obviously written and directed, written by Alex Garland and Danny Boyle, directed by Danny Boyle in 2002. And the synopsis, starring Cillian Murphy, Brendan Gleeson, Naomi Harris, blah, blah, Chris Ferguson. The synopsis reads as followed. So, 28 days later, 28 days after a killer virus is accidentally unleashed from a British research facility, a small group of London survivors are caught in a desperate struggle to protect themselves from the infected. Carried by animals and humans, the virus turns those it infects into homicidal maniacs, and it's absolutely impossible to contain. Obviously, kind of revolutionized, rejuvenated the zombie genre and the digital space filmmaking as well. I guess just give kind of overall thoughts, and we'll go into like spoilers, non-spoilers. George, if you want to kind of cover it first, I know you watched it this week.
Yeah. Well, yeah. 20. Wait, sorry. We're doing 28 days later, right?
Oh no, you didn't watch 28 Days this week. You watched it like last month.
I watched it. Yeah. Okay. I got confused. No, I recently watched it maybe like a month or two ago. Yeah, this movie bangs. This movie's really good. It's really, I love the way it's shot. It just kind of adds to that, like haunting experience and very chaotic journey that these characters are going on. It is a really uncomfortable watch at times, especially into that third act. And even when you get to that third act, that movie kind of takes a unbelievable turn. It goes from, a zombie survival film to a, fight for your life against human film. And it just turns into something so gloriously chaotic, and it's such a fun experience, such an insane experience. Technically I don't have to talk about the film. We all know that it's such an insanely made film, in the way that it's shot, in the way that it's in the way that everything's captured, in the way that the camera moves, in the way that our actors move, in the way that it's lit. It really is just such an insane technical achievement in film. And even watching it back like now, it's like, wow, like this is unbelievable. Like this is, in a world of like, high sci-fi films like Dune that are just crafted to such perfection. It's insane that you could have something of equal quality that is perfected, that is captured on like a fucking Nokia phone. It is just unbelievable. So yeah, 28 days later is just it's an unbelievable ride. I really like this whole trilogy. I know 28 weeks later we'll talk about it, but I know that one gets ragged on a little bit, and I certainly didn't love it on rewatch. But I think as a whole, this trilogy works really well, and it does start with that first film. It does capture London just empty. It is so barren. It is such a wasteland, and it leaves such a pit in my stomach. And I think that movie does such a good job at making you feel like you are in that world. It really does such a good job at like making you feel a part of the chaos. It left me with such a pit in my stomach, like that famous overhead shot of Cillian Murphy first walking out of the hospital on the bridge, and you just see nothing around him, and it's like that's just such a shitty shot, but it's so awesome because it made me feel like shit. It made me like put a pit in my stomach. But it's such an effective shot. And I really like it. I really like Brendan Gleeson in this character, in this movie. Has such a delightful relationship with his daughter in the film, and I think that dynamic works really well. And then you throw in Cillian Murphy, and I think that whole like core group of characters that we're following throughout the film, I think they do such a good job at really selling this narrative, really selling the chaos involved. And then you get to like that third act, and it's just all hell breaks loose in a way that I didn't fully anticipate. And like I said, it's a really uncomfortable watch. These like really shitty military men. I always the one sequence that really it wasn't even a sequence. It was just like a quick instance. When the military guys made the women put those dresses on, like that made me feel like just really unbelievably uncomfortable. Like I was, but again, it's an emotion that is like so important, I guess, in a zombie apocalypse film. And I really like this movie stresses the fact that this world isn't just overrun with zombies. It's also overrun with pieces of shit who are going to take advantage of this world, this lawless world. So I really do like 28 Days Later a lot. I really do like Danny Boyle a lot as a filmmaker. I feel like he's just never talked about among us in terms, or at least for me, in terms of like one of my favorite working filmmakers. I mean, you guys know how much I fucking love Sunshine. We just talked about Train Spotting not too long ago, and I really fucking love that film. 28 Days Later is incredible. 28 Years Later is also fantastic. He really does have just such an awesome filmography.
I said this on the podcast the other day. I said people speak about his films without correlating to him a lot of the time.
Yeah, I feel like it's like every time
Yeah.
you bring up Slumdog Millionaire, I feel like we're not talking about Danny Boyle. We're talking about Slumdog Millionaire. Same thing with like Yesterday, which obviously is like a weird film in his filmography, but like no one's ever like, oh, did you watch Danny Boyle's Yesterday? Everyone's always like, did you watch the Beatles movie? So he's an interesting guy. He's an interesting filmmaker. I feel like he kind of like stays quiet in between production of his films. And then he just drops films like Sunshine and 28 Years Later, and you're like reminded just why he's just so good at what he does. But yeah, 28 Days Later bangs. I really like it. I really, really liked it. Those are my thoughts.
Tyler.
Yeah, for like full thoughts, I would say go to that real quick because I didn't get to rewatch it, but I will say this film, which shines through all the way through 28 Years Later, is Danny Boyle's always been such a pioneer with the camera in such a unique way. Like obviously we see like Christopher Nolan pushing the bounds of like IMAX filmmaking with like Hoyt Van Hoytema, whereas Danny Boyle's like he can just, I don't know, take like a potato and like a wire he finds laying in the yard and make a beautiful film. Like he's able to just be so ingenious with the cameras and the technology at his disposal, or maybe the lack thereof technology in 28 Days Later versus 28 Years Later, just like wild rigs he was able to use. But Cillian Murphy, like this isn't his first performance, but I think this really welcomed him to the world. And from here, after 2002, he just kind of took off and skyrocketed. And I think Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are one of like the great director-writer pairings where I know Danny Boyle has some films that people don't love, namely Yesterday. And then I know Alex Garland has films people don't love either. But when they're together with the 28 films, with Sunshine, I really think they always cook up something special. But yeah, this film kind of is just the influential zombie movie. Like I might not go as far as say like all time, but it's certainly for the 21st century. You can clearly see
the century is one for sure.
The inspiration from like The Walking Dead and obviously other video game media like the Last of Us franchise, like all really don't probably exist without 28 Days Later and what this conjured up. So terrifying. The cool thing about the zombie genre is there's always such stark differences that people can go with their adaptations. They can make it where they're just slow walking zombies. They can make them sprinting. They can make them be people that actually eat humans. It can be people that just attack humans but actually don't feed off of them.
Intelligent zombies as well. That's kind of
intelligent or stupid. And then we obviously saw like Shaun of the Dead take a comedic angle. Like there's so many cool avenues you can go down where it's like it's like the zombie genre. You think like, oh, a zombie movie, and yeah, there's classic beats every zombie movie is going to hit, but this one definitely takes a fresh spin on it. Again, so many shots that they pulled out were so immaculate that they were able to be so barren in London. Really just makes you feel hopeless throughout this whole movie. And really inspires what I think, again, a lot of the 21st century zombie movies have really focused on, or 21st century zombie media has focused on, that during a zombie apocalypse, humans and other survivors are really the enemy, or it can be the terror and the evil as opposed to the actual zombies themselves. So, this came out in 2002, and I think really every zombie media since then has really emphasized, the other survivors being terrifying, untrustworthy. Those are the ones to be skeptical of, and that all gets set up here. So really impactful film, great film, heartbreaking film. And I love it. It's a 4.5 for me. I probably my favorite zombie movie ever, but I'll admittedly say that I have not seen nearly as many zombie movies as I should have.
Weird question. George, you mentioned the like at the start, like that shot on the bridge with Cillian Murphy when he's walking to the streets in like the square and stuff is really empty. What's that film that bought out Times Square? It's got Tom Cruise in it, and I see the clips on Twitter all the time. It's really going to annoy me. Is it Vanilla Sky?
Vanilla Sky. Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen Vanilla Sky. That's unrelated completely, but I just remember there's a film that bought out of Times Square and it looks cool.
I did
I'm
not
going to
know
watch
that.
Vanilla Sky.
George's goat, Cameron Crowe.
That is my goat.
Why?
It's one of my many goats.
Why is Cameron Crowe your goat?
Almost famous.
Almost
He's
famous.
obsessive.
Oh, okay. I'm not Cameron Crowe yet. Maybe I should be.
You should watch
Not
Almost
yet.
Famous.
Yeah, true. Actually, yeah. I mean, same. 20 Days Later, I watched like 3 weeks ago. I love it. I think like echo everything Tyler said in regards to he did revolutionize this, and we speak about like George Lucas and co in the late 90s, kind of redefining digital filmmaking and the way it looks and stuff. And I think Danny Boyle doesn't get enough credit for how he did it as well, and his ability to just make something out of nothing, essentially. And I think it really works with his charm. I think a film that looks like this, most directors couldn't work with something like this and make something as gritty and as disgusting and makes you feel so barren and, like George said, alone within this universe. And like, it does the classic, humans are the real enemy, but it was one of the kind of outside the George A. Romero's films, one of the first to kind of do so. And you look back and like Tyler said, I think a lot of the zombie media that we've had this century wouldn't exist without 28 Days Later and its influence. I just think it's so like outside of the fact it's so poignant and sad, and I love the cast, the core four, I should say. Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, Brendan Gleeson, and Megan Burns, the daughter as well. Then Christopher Eccleston, who I equally love as kind of that villain in the end, who kind of takes that switch and shows the real enemy here. But I just love how it looks. Like, so fucking like gritty, and I think we'll go on to 28 Years Later. But what's been maintained throughout this is he hasn't lost his edge stylistically, and he still finds ways to redefine. We've all seen, for example, we'll go into this. We've all seen like the iPhone rig that they set up. I love the news when this came out that it was shot with an iPhone, like someone was just there like this the whole time, like shooting on going vertical. Obviously, it was like a rigged out, you know what I mean, with a million attachments, essentially, with the power.
Would have been so much cooler if it was just Danny Boyle standing there,
just like that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, and quickly on that, like if how they're like trying to get funding for the third. So I know that they simultaneously shot the first two of the trilogy, and they're waiting to finance for the third. How could they not just like have Apple finance entire third just for the beginning of the movie to say shot entirely on iPhone, and then bang. I feel like their entire finance is solved.
Would be like
I don't know how Apple didn't jump at the bit to just be like, please at the very beginning put like the very first thing right for the movie starts just shot entirely on iPhone. That would like blow because general audiences don't know about that like iPhone shit. So like put that before the movie, bang.
They do that with trailers all the time. I mean, commercials all the time. Like Apple, every single one of Apple's commercials says shot on iPhone.
Because I mean, it's not a lie, is it?
It's not.
I mean,
no.
It's a heavily attached, like
it's embellished for sure, but
it's not a lie.
A lie.
But you should email Danny Boyle, because that's actually kind of like a genius idea, honestly. That's the funding right there. But yeah, I love this film. I think it's amazing. I think it's 4.5 for me as well. We'll move on to kind of our thoughts on 28 Weeks Later, which I did rewatch this week as well, because it's been a few years since I watched it. Most notable thing about 28 Weeks Later is that Alex Garland and Danny Boyle, outside of being executive producers, had zero to do with it creatively. So they didn't write it, direct it, whatever. It was directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. That sounds right. Yeah, good shot. Who also directed Damsel with Millie Bobby Brown. Who knew? Crazy. And it was written by Rowan Joff, I don't know. But yeah, completely unrelated to Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. A very interesting decision, some might say an unneeded one. I would probably echo that. George, I know you watched it this week or rewatched it this week. What were your kind of thoughts? I imagine we'll probably be saying the same sentiment.
I think our sentiments probably stay the same between you and I. I came out a little more neutral than I would have liked, but I think that neutrality certainly leans a little positive. Like I said in my Letterboxd review, I think there are some insane highs in this movie. Everyone talks about that opening chase sequence, that rightfully so. I still, even after 28 years later, I still think that's one of the best scenes in this entire trilogy. I absolutely love the sequence when the husband goes to see the wife after he thought she was dead. And then like he kisses her, and they have that whole emotional moment of him turning. And I think there are moments like that, emotional moments, chaotic moments, that really are some of the best quality sequences in this trilogy. However, I think most of this movie falls flat. I think there are just too many moments that try to build relationships, too many moments that try to build this world a little deeper than what we already know, that don't quite like fit the narrative properly. It's very clearly not written by Alex Garland, and it's very clearly not directed by Danny Boyle. And the direction, I think, is the most obvious takeaway. It's like, okay, this is creatively not from the mind of Danny Boyle. I think the writing is where it's most jarring, because I think they try to expand this universe in a way that doesn't feel like it would be the next steps in this like world's expansion, in terms of like where I would expect this world to be at in 28 weeks later. So yeah, I'm a little more mixed on it. I think there are some fantastic performances. I'm not going to take away from the performances. And I do think the aesthetic of this film is worthy enough to be a part. Wow. Lightning just blew up outside. That scared the shit out of me. Holy fuck. My bad. I just completely lost my train of thought. But here's a comparison. 28 weeks later in this trilogy is like Ballerina. Jesus Christ.
So funny because me and Tyler can't see or hear.
I know, and you can't hear it either, which is crazy. So it sounds like I'm going crazy, but the skies are going nuts right now. Okay, there's thunder and lightning like crazy. 28 weeks later is like Ballerina in the John Wick universe, where I don't think it ever reaches the highs of 28 Days Later or, you know, Ballerina to the John Wick movies in that respect. But I think it's a worthy inclusion in the franchise. I think they do a good enough job at selling itself that, like, yes, we are meant to be a part of this trilogy. We are a worthy sequel to 28 Days Later. We are not the same creative team necessarily. We're not the same director. We're not the same writer, but you know, we're clearly a fan of this world. We're clearly a fan of what Alex Garland and Danny Boyle built in 28 Days Later. And we're going to give you our own little iteration of this world and call it 28 Weeks Later. I appreciate that. It's clearly not, I mean, I know we call things slop that are sequels, but I don't think this is slop in a way where it's just an obvious cash grab.
It is slop, George. We know the rules.
We do know the rules. But yeah, I think it's a worthy inclusion into this trilogy. I just don't think it reaches the highs of, like, the overall highs of 28 Days Later. Like I said, that opening chase sequence is still one of the best in the trilogy. The emotional moment of the husband like gnawing out his wife's eyes, that's really emotional. Like, that whole sequence is fantastic. And then even the ending, I think the whole final like 20 minutes is just a really well crafted, chaotic, high energy conclusion to this film, and I really, really did like that. But like I said, I think this movie could have been 45 minutes if you took kind of cut down all of the dead weight.
Tyler, did you watch it this week?
I've never seen it, but to George's final sentiment, I've seen a lot of people online say basically like, if you really don't want to watch it, just watch the first like 15 minutes as a short film and just leave it as that. Because I think a lot of people say that seems like the common reviews I see is everyone says the beginning is genuinely amazing and then the rest is great. But yeah, I didn't care to pause or mute myself and take my headphones off because like maybe before the Bone Temple, which is the next 28 years later, I'll run through them again.
You don't need to as well. Like, you don't need to watch it. I would literally just do what people say and just go and watch the first 15 minutes because it's that good.
Yeah.
Like, those first 15 minutes are like generational. It's the discrepancy between that and the rest of the film, even though George said, like, I agree, there are some good other moments, but those first 15 minutes are like so
it's like you cannot start on that high of a high and not expect people to feel underwhelmed a little bit for the remainder of the film. Like, that really is, because you watched, even me, like, I forgot, I went into 28 Weeks Later. I haven't seen it in years. Okay. Like to the point where I forgot everything. I didn't even mark it as a rewatch on Letterboxd because it felt like a new watch. And I was watching that first scene and I was like, wow, like, this is like, what's everyone so negative about? Like, this movie's fucking incredible. Like, this is a literally, like, this looks like it came from the mind of Danny Boyle in terms of its direction.
It does. Yeah,
and then, of course, the remainder of the film happens and it never quite reaches those highs, almost to a point of, you know, not ruining my experience, but it's like, damn, like, you really started me off on such a high. Like, I wish we kept that energy. And like, there are moments where we do keep that energy. And I do think as well, there are moments in this film that are equally as emotionally charged as 28 Days Later. You know, there's one sequence in particular that kind of stood out to me in 28 Weeks Later this time around, early on, when the daughter is like, you told us mom was dead. And like, you could see like this girl, she's maybe like 15 or 16. She's trying to step up. She's trying to defend herself, her sibling, and she's also trying to defend her mother. And it's like it's a very important performance in the context of this world. Cause it's like, wow, like I can't trust anyone. Like who do I trust? Like, and 28 Weeks Later at least gives us like that human familial conflict in a different and kind of refreshing way than 28 Days Later did. And that I kind of appreciate, but yeah, it just never reaches the highs of those like first like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, you said it's like the ballerina of the John Wick. I said on the podcast yesterday, for me, it's like the Glass Onion of the Knives Out films. Basically what I mean by that is it's a worthy film within the franchise, but I think it's the definition of bigger doesn't always equal better. Like they did in Glass Onion compared to Knives Out, expanded the story, took a bigger landscape, bigger scope, bigger moments. I think that's what happens here, but it's just nowhere near as good. But it's still fine. Like, it's not a bad film by any means. And I think, like I said, those first 50 minutes are like generational. But I just don't think outside of that, there's anything that really like touches me to a massive standpoint. It's like classic 3-star film for me. Just, you know, weaning on positive, but that's kind of it. But yeah, we'll move on to 28 Years Later. I'll run through this kind of synopsis first of all. So 28 Years Later, obviously set to be a trilogy. The first one being directed by Danny Boyle, and the second one, Nia DaCosta, and the third one, do we know? Do we have it? Is it Nia DaCosta again?
I don't know if it's announced. It probably is announced, but I know the third one's the one that has a question mark, because the first two are filmed simultaneously, but the third one, we don't know if we'll ever see it or not. They're kind of waiting to see how this does.
Missed opportunity, not calling it decades later and then centuries later, by the way.
Bro, what happened 28 months later?
28 months later. It kind of, do you know what someone said to me? Someone replied to my tweet and they were like, they should make it 28 seconds later. Like, as soon as it hits. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like in London, as soon as it hits.
What movie just came out? A Quiet Place, day one. That's what you want.
Yeah, essentially, but better.
Just with zombies.
Yeah.
28 years before and just have nothing to do with zombies. Just have like a romance film. Just coming of age Cillian Murphy growing up in like the English countryside. This is England, but with Cillian Murphy.
You should tweet that. That's tweet worthy. I appreciate that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's run through the synopsis. Obviously, like we said, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. 28 years since the rage virus escaped a biological weapons laboratory, now still in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine. Some have found ways to exist amidst the infected. One such group lives on a small island connected to the mainland by a single, heavily defended causeway. When one member departs on a mission into the dark hearts of mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors as well. That is a fucking mouthful for a letterbox synopsis, by the way. Some of them are like a line. That's a big old synopsis.
I always notice that when a movie first comes out, the synopsis is crazy long, and then it always gets smaller and smaller as more
like a
people
tagline or something.
Yeah, it becomes
smaller. So obviously, I was going to say first watch for all of us, obviously. Yeah, sure. This isn't the Patreon review. George, you want to give like spoiler-free thoughts, I guess?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Sorry, I'm not picking you.
No, you are picking me. I'm here.
No, I'm not, because I wanted to go in order of like.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I know Cam had to dip out for the episode, but I didn't catch it.
I don't think he
logged
watched
it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, you texted him?
No, he did.
He logged Elliot. He had to dip.
Yeah, he loved it. Cam gave it a 4.5.
28 years?
Yeah, 28 years. He writes an enormous sense of anxiety and dread felt this entire time. Stacked cast and performances throughout had me on the edge of my seat, but also made me laugh and cry. Full review on the ReelTok Podcast this week. Smiley face, 85 out of 100. First comment: need Cam Walsh's face on Alpha's head for a new poster.
Very true.
You are listening, mystery poster.
Real
man.
shit. Mystery poster, man.
Mystery poster, man.
So 28 years later, I guess I'm the lowest in the sense that I gave it a 3.5. So I still definitely very much liked it. Yeah, unfortunately, but I think so. Technically, I think this is a perfect film in terms of the production. I have no notes. I was so in love with everything I was seeing on my screen, from the cinematography, the editing, every visual choice made. I was jaw on the ground, even though, like, to be honest, the first like a couple scenes inside the house. Like it took me a while to get used to the filming style, because you do see those rigs being kind of foreshadowed earlier with like the iPhones that are kind of like surrounding people, and they use that in such a clever way to be able to jump cut quickly in moments of high pace action sequences or quick cuts. And to be honest, the first 10 minutes I was like, okay, I got to get used to this. This is like kind of jarring, similar to 28 Days Later. They're jarring visual styles. That's why I loved Danny Boyle. But once I got acquainted to it, there's nothing visually I can say negatively about this film, because whether it's from the iPhone rigs in close combat action sequences, or the spanning drone shots over the landscapes, the gorgeous countryside, and the like channel, I guess you could call it, or the land bridge across the little strait. This film is stunning, and I know, and the reason I keep harping on that is because I know it is a bit divisive, and I can see why. It's not like I'm an idiot to see why some people aren't loving like the look of it, because it is, like I said, it is a jarring film visually, especially in moments of montages. I tweeted about how the Boots trailer is obviously iconic, but the Boots poem, song, whatever you want to call it, is used in the film itself too. And like that sequence, so I love that. That's my favorite sequence of the movie. But that's like a very jarring, very quickly paced, edited sequence that like this film is like a visual assault on the senses. I love that. I can see why some people might be negative on the editing. I've seen comments on that, but to me, editing wise, cinematography wise, everything with the cameras, I cannot applaud the production of this enough. I loved it. No notes, perfect 10 out of 10. And then that's only aided by the score and the sound design, which both are chilling, perfectly curated. Every single moment, the sound in this film was always on point. Like technical production wise, I think 28 years later is kind of nothing short of a miracle. Danny Boyle, again, just continues to be so inventive and just a pioneer of his craft when it comes to redefining what is cinematic language. Like even films like Steve Jobs, where it's just like a biopic where the most of it is he's given a keynote performance. Like the cinematography in that film is stunning as well. He is such a keen eye. And again, like the score, sound design, brilliant as well. And all the performances are great. So really no notes there. To me, what kind of holds it back is the story just didn't hit me as much as most, which is kind of surprising for me. The fact that I think I saw a lot of early reviews talking about just how emotional this film was, and I can see the beats they were going for, and definitely the climaxes. I can tell, were where people were getting really emotional, but to me, it just never landed. I just didn't think some of the relationships like were built enough to make me feel the climaxes were earned, and just didn't hit me in the gut like I really wanted it to. It didn't feel appropriately built for me to ever really affect me in the way I wanted it to, because I'm all in on sad movies. I'm all in on gut punches. Like I want to be devastated in my chair. Like I love that. That's like my favorite thing. So it's not like I'm going to be a big tough man and not be sad at a movie. Like, no, I want to be like bawling in my theater seat. Like I want to lean into that, but it just didn't get me. But in terms of the performances, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I saw, Seth, you made some posts about it, and I absolutely agree. I think he's great, and I don't get why he gets so much hate from people.
Did you like him? I can't remember.
Sorry, say that again.
Did you like him in Nosferatu? I can't remember if you did.
Yeah, no, I loved it. He was my favorite performance in Nosferatu. Yeah, and I saw one tweet going around that was like, his last 3 performances, and it was kind of made as like a joke. But like, I know George talked a little about Craven last week. Like I thought, as far as Craven, the movie goes, I think he gives as great as a performance you could for a movie like that. Like I genuinely love him in every film he's in, and I think he's great in this as well. I think the best relationship for me is Aaron Taylor Johnson and Alfie Williams, the brilliant Alfie Williams, incredible debut performance. Their father-son strained relationship, that story I really bought into and I loved. And Jodie Comer is getting a ton of praise, and same with Ralph Fiennes, and I think they're both really good. To me, like I just didn't end up landing on the side where I see a lot of people saying like career best work, especially from Ralph Fiennes. I was like, yeah, I think he's really good in this. But I don't know. I guess I was a little surprised when I saw all the reviews saying like, like Ralph Fiennes' Oscar campaign came a year too early. Like this is his Oscar movie, and like Jodie Comer's never been better. Maybe that's just I think so highly of those two, but I'm like I've seen them better in quite a lot of other things. Nothing to knock their performances in this. I think I was just a little surprised when I left the theater and saw all the reviews saying like this is like career defining work for both of them. But it's weird because I'm to be more mixed on this movie. 3.5 where I landed on it because I just simply can't go any lower for a movie that technical wise I was just enthralled with. But I feel like a lot of people that give it like a 3 or 3.5 end up saying like love the movie, but the final like 10 minutes were really threw it off for me. Whereas I love the final 5-10 minutes. So like it's like that's not what's bringing it down at all for me. It's really like the second half Whereas I think things that people don't like this, and again, some people don't like the second half because it's not like as maybe tense as they want it to be. But that's again not why I didn't like it. I just don't think some of the beats they went for story wise, which we'll talk about in spoilers, worked for me as much as it did for everyone else. But again, technical production wise, brilliant. Riley and I we had a great time with this. She gave it a 3.5 as well. I'm like a 3.5 leaning 3. She's a 3.5 leaning 4. But yeah, I mean, this is, again, even though I'm giving it a 3.5, I still will say this is what everything I would ever want from a legacy sequel, where it pushes the bounds production wise, reinvents the story, completely subverts audience expectations at every turn, and just gives you so much to chew on. And really ambitious film, because they have to set up a trilogy here that they're going for. And it's a trilogy where they don't have the funding for all of it. So they really have to sell the suitors. And I know some people say the end of the film, they wish it would have been just pushed to the second movie of the trilogy. But again, I think it's a little bit of for anyone who saw Horizon American Saga Part 1, where the kind of final bit of that film really sets up the next film. It's like when you have trilogies planned or franchises planned where you don't have the funding yet, sometimes you just got to really leave a cliffhanger to say fund our next movie. But I'm really excited to see what Nia DaCosta has in the Bone Temple. I really enjoyed Candyman. I thought her direction was great in that. And then the Marvels, kind of hard to ever gauge a director based on their Marvel experience. So I'm excited to see, what we got coming up for the Bone Temple in less than a year, which is exciting. But yeah, coming away a little more mixed on this in general on the story, but production wise, brilliant.
George?
Yeah, I mean, same sentiment as Tyler. Technically, insane movie, man. Absolutely insanely crafted film. Even to the smallest bits, towards the end of the movie, you have Aaron Taylor Johnson running, and the camera's right here, and it's just such an insane POV that I just only Daniel Boyle is capable of conjuring up. But this movie is the perfect example of why Letterboxd is so interesting, because immediately out of the theater, I was like, oh, am I going to give this a 3.5? Am I give this a 4? Now it's been 3 days since I've watched this film, and I'm I think on rewatch, I can give this a 4.5 or a 5. I have not stopped thinking about this film at all. I haven't stopped listening to the score. I haven't stopped listening to the Boots poem on Spotify. I think it's absolutely unbelievable. I think there are some insane.
That's kind of crazy, to be honest.
That is wild.
What?
The score I get, but listening to that poem,
no, dude.
In the gym.
I'm telling you, throw it on at the gym. Just throw on Boots.
Throw it at the gym, and I'm having a panic attack.
I'm telling you, man, that shit is so gas. It came up in the movie because I didn't know it was going to play in the movie either. I thought that was a trailer thing.
Yeah.
It came up in the movie, bro. My face lit up. I was like, oh, fuck, yes.
Bro stood up and screaming along with the chant. And
I was like, boots. Dude, I'm telling you, man.
I know what you mean, though. When it came on, I looked at people with me, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hell yeah. Fuck, what are we doing? Yes. Yeah. But yeah, man, I haven't stopped thinking about this movie. There are so many moments. It's so interesting because, like I said in my Letterboxd review, it's the quiet, heartfelt moments of this film that are really, really getting me. Obviously, the chaos and the energy, it's there. That's what was promised in the trailer. But what really surprised me was that father-son dynamic, was that mother-son dynamic, was that dynamic between Ray Fiennes and the mother and Ray Fiennes and the son. There's just so many beautiful moments between these characters that have really, really, really struck me. Even where we will get into spoilers later, so I'll hold off on that thought, obviously, actually. But yeah, man, I think this is so beautiful. This is so perfectly in terms of technicality. I think this is just a perfectly crafted film. The entire chase sequence on the bridge, man.
Wow.
What an unbelievable scene, dude. Oh my God, what an unbelievable scene, man. That
when it would cut back
me.
As he would take steps.
Dude, that alpha, man, that dude was breaking records in terms of how fast he was moving.
He had some good form as well.
He was zooming, man. If I saw that thing running at me, I would be like, yeah, you're take me. I'm not winning. Just make it fast. But yeah, I think there are just so many just expertly crafted fucking moments in this film, man. even from that first sequence where you have the kids watching Teletubbies in the fucking house, and then all hell just breaks loose.
Starting
you
with
know.
child murder is crazy, by the way.
Yeah, that was actually
that's
crazy. That was insane how all 5 of the 6 kids got clipped almost immediately. That was an insane way to start the film. Even I was looking around, I was like, am I the only one that think this is absolutely fucked right now? But yeah, man, I thought it was really, really exceptional. Everything from the first time Alfie and Aaron Taylor Johnson get to the mainland, it's this beautiful like teaching moment with his son, and they also encounter some absolutely insane stuff. You're briefly introduced to Ray Fiennes' character from a distance, and I love that. I love the story that Aaron Taylor Johnson tells about Ray Fiennes' character. Where he's like, we saw him with the bodies and he just waved at us like nothing was happening. And like, that's so creepy. That's so fucked. Jodie Comer really is fantastic in this movie. She has that one sequence where she's like absolutely screaming at Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, don't take him to the mainland, never take him to the mainland. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you trying to kill him? And then she like loses thought. And then she's like, oh, where are you going today? And it's just like, it's a really brilliant performance because she's turning it on and off very quickly, going from being absolutely like deranged and delusional to being like kind of calm and a little bit more aware of what's going on. And then you see that one sequence where she kills sorry, but still an insane sequence. That's not a spoiler. That's like a 2-second instance in the film.
Wait, which scene? Actually, I won't ask which scene.
Where they're sleeping, where she and Alfie are sleeping, and Alfie wakes up to
that's
a dead
spoiler.
Corpse. Oh, that's not. I mean,
that's
it's
a really
spoiler.
big moment. Do you not think?
I don't know about really big moment. I thought it was like a cool moment.
Yeah, well, cool
All right,
moment.
sorry,
Cool
whatever.
moment.
Spoiler warning. But yeah, man, I really, the more I think about this movie, the more I listen to the score of this movie, the more I listen to Boots, the more I'm just positively thinking about this film and really looking back on that experience. And I want to rewatch this, and I want to get to rewatching it in theaters. I want to see it in theaters one more time before I bump up my rating maybe. But I had a really good time with this film.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Same as Cam. For enough, I think it's amazing. I echo everything you said, like on a technicality, just in the way that no one's shooting films like this anymore. Like, I won't go into details, but the first action sequence, for example, with Alfie and his dad, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. And the way they use the rig, it's wild, and the slow-mo and stuff like that.
To interrupt, sorry.
Yeah.
I did not know the entire movie was shot on iPhone. I had no idea. I thought it was like bits and pieces. So while I was watching the movie, before the movie started, I was like, I'm gonna try guess which scenes are shot on iPhone. Like, I'm gonna try see if I could point it out. And as the movie was going along, literally every single scene, I was like, that was shot on iPhone. That had to be. And then the next scene, I was like, and then like 10 scenes go by, and I was like, is this whole fucking movie shot on an iPhone? So yeah, that was my experience. Very cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, no one's shooting films like this anymore, like in terms of like your blockbusters and setup like this. And I think it's a lot more pensive and reflective and contemplative than I imagined it to be. I think that's what kind of a lot of people didn't expect. It does, like Tyler said, subvert expectations in a manner that I really love to appreciate. Like, I know it didn't particularly for maybe well, not so much George, but Tyler, like, it really affected me on an emotional level. Like, it brought me to tears at a certain point, the same point as everyone's speaking about, which we'll go into. But it really allows you to kind of sit with each moment amid the chaos. And you have kind of two sections. You've got the mother and son relationship, where in which he's trying to find out what's wrong with her. And again, like, one of the main pivots of this film is how it showcases how we can accept loss and death, and really is like presented the cycle of life, but in such a intriguing and twisted way, amid this kind of deranged world where different than 28 days and 28 days specifically, it's people are settled now. We're in this kind of community, we're in this haven which people can't get into, essentially. And it really allows you to sit with that. And I think you've got like the father-son relationship and the high masculinity, and the tone's being set there, and these kind of laws that he abides by, which obviously we'll go into, and then you've got the mother and son, which really, really affects me on so much. And just, I think the way it handles grief, I said this in the podcast yesterday on Friday when I reviewed it, but one thing I love about this is it's zombie films traditionally are latched with a negative mindset, and they're not usually the most optimistic of films. I think it's fair to say, but I think this has like a real grain of optimism and joy and celebration when it comes to life specifically. When we speak about Ray Fiennes' character, I echo kind of what Tyler said. Like I think Jodie Comer, like in everything I see her in, she's like the best thing she's like, about that project. But I wouldn't say it's her best performance ever. I think she's amazing, but so it's no like what's the word? It's not a derogatory statement, but I think that like The Last Duel, I don't know, came out a few years ago, and probably say it's better than that. I say with Ray Fiennes as well. I think funny, Ray Fiennes is really not in that much until like the last sort of 30 minutes. And
that's why I'm so confused. Everyone's saying like his Oscar campaign came a year too early. I'm like,
he was very like I thought
this
he was
isn't
great.
top 5 for me in Ray Fiennes though. This isn't like top 5 Ray Fiennes.
It's probably top 5 for me, but I don't know that looking. I thought it was amazing, but I there's definitely a few I can think of in my head that I put over it. But I think it's more like
it's the screen time. He's just not in it as much as we thought he would be.
I tell you who isn't in it as much as I thought it would be, given his third on the fucking
big time. The whole movie, I was like, yo,
I was waiting for him, bro.
I was
like, bro, it must be 2 hours now. Where the fuck is my man?
I was like, where the fuck is he?
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, like, man, the way it's shot, and I just want to mention a couple of sequences that actually, Tyler, spoiler. Should we spoiler?
Yeah, spoiler.
Let's get into spoilers. Let's get into spoilers, baby.
Few sequences I want to mention. Actually, no, we won't do that. We'll kind of. Do you want to run through beat by beat, or do you want to mention sequences? Because there's a lot of scenes.
Let's just talk about sequences.
Okay, fine. First thing I want to mention.
Do what your heart desires.
Okay, so we're not doing this in order, so fuck you guys if you're annoyed and you're listening. Although actually people asked for this, so who cares? One thing I want to mention outside of so we see obviously the main reason they go to the mainland is to essentially get Alfie. Like, what's his name? Spike. Get him his first like kill, essentially, and you know they have that whole conversation with the woman in the community about like how he's 12, but they usually let him out in the mainland like 14, I think it is. And he kills essentially. I love the zombie types and the different periods infected, kind of like Last of Us. He kills what they describe as the fat ones who just don't move. Yeah. They are like some
the glup shittos.
The first shot of that one from the back of it as it's crawling. Do you know what shot I'm talking about?
As in when they're just getting into the woods, or when
and you just see it like the camera's like here.
Oh, when he's eating the worm.
Yeah, and no. It's in his back, so you just see like up this way. Oh, I know you know what I'm talking about. It's like him crawling. I hated that shot, man.
It's disgusting. Yeah. And then like he essentially gets his first like kill, and there's a whole period. And again, we can go into like the highest masculine ways in which that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character wants to introduce him to the world and make him, be a man. Obviously allegories are there, but when Spike gets his first kill, and then the other one kind of like creeps up behind and makes a noise, and everyone starts chasing. Man, the way in which the action sequence is shot, with like the slow bits of slow-mo and like the zooms when the arrows kind of enters the heads. So fucking cool. You just don't see stuff like that nowadays. And they really use this rig as effective as possible, and it's just so memorable. And I think maybe my favorite scene in the film, especially in the first half, probably my favorite scene is probably one with Jodie Comer actually, but the scene in which they encounter the Alpha for the first time. So the Alpha is kind of like mega zombie, big fucking guy.
He was just standing there on the top of that hill. Every time they showed that hill, I was like, "This is a great shot. This is a brilliant shot." I loved
that, like, because you're introduced to him, and because they're about to go back because they're saying, he got his first kill, right? Oh no, they enter the house beforehand and they see that guy who's in the bag, who's like been left there, and he's
with Jimmy on his
and then chest. And that's like a test almost for Spike. And they go out because they're like, you got your first kill. We can leave. Go on this big, open field, wide open field. And by the way, the countryside in this looks amazing. I think that's a perfect way of doing it. It's like in 28 Weeks Later at the start. Very similar. And these
beautifully shot, this film.
Amazing.
Man.
Yeah.
So
I love the drone shots as well. And then like they see the Alpha, and he says the Alpha and stuff, kind of first introduction. The Alpha screams, which essentially sends this horde down, doesn't it? Go on.
You know what I love about the Alpha's introduction is that the shot is like you're looking out into the field, right? And you just see silhouettes of zombies coming up. all of the zombies are spazzing. They're very erratic. They're very all over the place. And then you got he's just walking. He's just walking like a normal fucking dude. I'm like, yo, that dude is gonna. Fuck
really
some
is
shit up.
like the perfect introduction of like, okay, this character is this thing is different than the other things.
Yeah,
it's really such an interesting way of showing that. And then he essentially sends like shouts and sends his horde down. There's a whole chase sequence inside this house in which they're shooting them, whatever. Spike is like understandably shitting himself and he's missing everything right now. And his dad's on his back him. And I wouldn't be able to draw an arrow in the first place. There's so many of them chasing him.
If they were chasing them and they were chasing and then like every 10 seconds they would stop, pick one off, start running. If Spike was just picking off zombies, I would have been like, no way. I was like, I'm like
just shot his first one.
Yeah, like he's a 14-year-old kid. Like he's gonna miss those. He's 12. Either way, he's gonna be scared shitless. Like I'm happy that they like gave him like dude, that kid is incredible. By the way, can we talk about that that kid is so fucking good in this movie because his character goes through an insane amount of growth from like just being the guy while he's walking out of the island. Everyone's like, go get him, Alfie, to killing a zombie, to immediately being scared as shit, to being brave enough to take his mom out, going to like incredible performance given the amount that he has to do.
Yeah, for sure. He's fantastic.
Question, is the alpha unkillable? Did I miss that? Like, can you not kill the alpha?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing because like, why wouldn't Ray Fiennes kill him?
Well, no, even before that, when they are running back to the mainland and he gets like that massive like crossbow flaming thing shot through him. Is that
Aaron Taylor Johnson says
no, you can kill him. Aaron Taylor Johnson says initially when he describes the alpha, and he said
it would take too many arrows or something.
They said that they said he referenced the point in time in which someone was fighting one and it took like 12 arrows to take one down or something more. Which kind of goes back to what I'm about to speak about, which is the chase sequence. So when the alpha sends them down, they escape into this house, the house they were in before, and then get into like the attic, into the loft, kind of hide out there. And like what George just mentioned, one of the best parts of this, and again, perfect way to introduce kind of the power of this character, this being, not in a sense of we haven't seen his physicality yet, but it's just the presence and how much it's felt, especially on Aaron Taylor Johnson's side. He understands the threat that's there. This isn't a normal zombie or infected. And then when he looks out at night and the guy's just still there on his own, still
standing, dude,
crazy.
He is posted up. All the aura farming is unbelievable from the alpha, dude. Just standing on a hill. He's like, "This is my land, bitches. Don't come here."
It's like pure presence, and we immediately know we're like, "Hey, he's different."
It's I'm telling you, man, it's such a simple, creative decision. Every zombie around him is spazzing out, and he is just he's walking normally, and it's such a simple, creative decision, and it was so fucking scary because that was the first thing I noticed. First thing I noticed was like, that dude is just walking normally. I'm like, who is that, and what's his problem?
Yeah, for sure. Because then it kind of leads to they essentially like, I think they say, because obviously the tide's about to come up, but they can make it. So they try and get back to so what Tyler mentioned earlier. There's like a channel, there's like a pathway, bridge,
causeway.
Causeway. And they go down to the beach. And I love, again, this is such a like obvious thing, but it's just done so well, the juxtaposition here in between. They're all like happy, they're all like, they're having the father-son, they banter, they're joking with one another. And then it quickly kind of cuts back to the alpha's realization that they're there and his chase. And it does this amazing thing where he is sprinting.
Very Terminator-like, just like
very
running form.
Just insane form, robotic.
And he's like, it's quite robotic, which again, like really illustrates, we've seen the other zombies run and they're all over the place, but this guy's different. And it does this cool thing where it keeps kind of cutting back and forth. So Aaron Taylor Johnson's character will make a joke to Spike. Immediately it'll cut back to the alpha running across like a brick on the floor or whatever it was, and you'll just hear this really potent noise. And then they're like probably halfway across at this point until they realize that this guy is on their fucking tail.
Coming up quick.
and you hear the they keep transitioning to the splash of the water because again the tide's not up yet, but it's the water's there, they're running for water. And then like that moment as which kind of the shot in the air and kind of the pan over and the drone shot, and you kind of see how quickly this guy is closing in them. So nerve-wracking, like so paranoia inducing, and he gets close and Spike just keeps falling over. I'm like, why don't you fucking like he just keeps falling. I was stressing so bad. And then they hear, don't they? And they just start like lobbing arrows at him. He must have said more than 12 because this guy gets hit a lot. Like it takes
including that big final bolt from like that. There's like a on fire like big crossbow. So like I was confused. Like did he just like recover from that and then like crawl his way back to the infected land, or like
is that the same? Is that Samson?
So that's what I'm wondering. Is there more than one alpha?
Yeah,
or...
I don't think there's. I think he does recover from that.
Which by definition, I think it can be more than one. Was that the beta?
You can't call yourself.
Can we get a hog measurement to verify?
No, so there are. I thought there are multiple.
That's what I was looking at the cast because maybe he was just like because it says like
Samson. But maybe that was the same one, but there are multiple alphas because it's a variation of infected. It's like a bloater in The Last of Us.
Yeah, that would make sense to me because that's what I was confused about, like why, like how he would survive that, and then like, but that still doesn't, I guess, answer the question later of like, I don't know if thematically was the reason, but like why when Ray finds like drugged him, like why didn't they just like load arrows into his head?
Yeah,
they just kind of left him. They're like, okay, he's drugged, let's run away.
Yeah, and then obviously like it cuts to them having kind of like a party, like a return party, doesn't it? And then we find out that Aaron Taylor Johnson, obviously his wife Jodie Comer is suffering with something they don't know what. No doctors on the island or anything is there at this point. Like she's like George said, one minute she's delirious, the next she's appearing fine. She's basically spends all day on bed and she doesn't know where she is a lot of the time. Obviously, we can kind of conjure up. I'm sure you all probably figured out as well that she probably has like I don't know brain cancer or whatever. Like it's something serious, obviously. Yeah. And it's pretty evident that when Aaron Taylor Johnson's speaking about his son, he obviously fabricates the truth slightly in or embellishes it in which and how Spike did, and Spike mentioned that. And then obviously we see Aaron Taylor Johnson's character like cheating on his wife as well, and shows kind of the strain that's been put on the relationship from that. And then like the movie kind of turns on its axis in that I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson and Spike, this would be their story, when in reality it's all about the mum, isn't it?
It's all about Spike. It's all about Spike.
Well, it's all about Spike.
Yeah, the first half is Spike and his father. The second half is Spike and his mother. Like it's all about the different dynamics, and it's
Spike takes no nonsense. He sees his dad cheating on his mom, and then immediately he was like, "Get out of the house!" Pulls a knife on his dad.
Yeah, crazy.
I really love that scene. He pulls a knife on his dad. He's like, "Get the fuck out of the house!" Like I'm the man of the house. Like I'm gonna take care of mom. Like you don't give a fuck about her. I'm gonna go get her help. And then he like pulls a knife on his dad, and then. I love just Aaron Taylor Johnson's response of like protects himself, like not like obviously getting killed by his son, but then just like kind of folds up the knife, gives it back to him. He realizes he fucked up, and he realizes he's like a worthless piece of shit because he's been cheating on her, and like every time she like is ailing, he's like you see in like the reflection, he's like, oh fuck, gotta go take care of my sick wife again. Like you can see the toll it's taking on him, and he just kind of realizes how much he failed his son, so he kind of runs out. He knows he fucked up. Really, that's the relationship that worked the best for me was like the father and son, and yeah, and I guess before we get to the second half, because this is kind of where we're probably going to end our discussion on Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Pretty much.
The beginning of the movie with the Teletubbies, we see like the young Jimmy, which we'll talk about later.
Teletubbies a thing in America?
Yeah.
Okay,
I fucked with the Tubbies as a kid.
Oh, okay.
But that sounds really weird. Sounds like a bullied fat kids. Sounds like a bullied fat people.
Crazy way to put that.
But no, so and then that's where we see like young Jimmy, which we'll talk about later. But it's just I don't know if they did this intentionally, but because basically you get this opening scene, you see like his father's a priest, kind of leaves him to die, and then you see him with the cross or whatever. Then it flash forwards 28 years later, and Jamie is Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. So I don't know if they were like intentionally just making Jimmy and Jamie such close names to make you think like, because both of those like derive from like James, like a James, someone whose name is James could go by Jamie, they could go by Jimmy. So I don't know if like they're trying to make us think like the 28 years later jump was going to be him, because the kid was blonde though. So it's like, you don't think that, but I was just curious. I was like, immediately you're interested in Jimmy kid, then it jumps 28 years later and you're interested in Jamie. So I'm like, were they trying to like misdirect us and think that? I don't know, but I want to mention. We'll be interested.
I thought it was Ray Fiennes. I thought Jimmy was Ray Fiennes for a good chunk of the movie. I thought
it was hard 28 years to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say he aged a lot. Like that's the one thing that didn't really sell me. But in my mind, I thought that's who it was. I thought there was the first. I thought one of the first shots we were gonna see of Ray Fiennes, we were gonna see that cross on his chest. I thought he was Jimmy for a good.
Which I guess they do try to subvert that with these because like how demonic his camp looks. And they introduce and they tell that story of Aaron Taylor Johnson talking about like how. So yeah, you can make it seem like this guy's like some like sort of antichrist.
I did love that scene in the church, like the kind of whole judgment thing with his dad. I really enjoyed that.
Fucked up scene, man. That's
when he goes kind of beneath. I don't know what you call it, like in the thing or whatever. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I think it's like a really interesting way to kind of open it up. Where do you want to go from here? I mean, like Tyler said, this is kind of the switch because Aaron Taylor Johnson, we see him again, but really, I don't think we see
till the end.
Yeah, we see him because of the letter speaking by them, but it's like we don't see him at all because essentially what I think George referenced earlier. What was his name? The guy in the house who'd help look after the mom. The older guy.
I don't know. I know it's like a grandpa. Or
Sam.
Right?
Sam.
Sam.
Aaron Taylor Johnson talks about this guy because they see a fire when they're in the loft, don't they? And he says that this guy's fucking insane. It is that flashback George spoke about with the bodies, which is crazy, by the way, when he just turns around and waves. He's got like 70 bodies just in a line, like formation. And then Sam basically reveals kind of the truth and said that he used to be his GP, which is a general practitioner in the UK, so a doctor. And
we got those in America too.
Do you call him a GP though?
It's the general practitioner, yeah.
I didn't know, but I just didn't know you told him a GP.
Yeah.
And like he said, like obviously Spike's thinking, maybe this guy will be able to help with mom. So he basically just takes the initiative and he's like, "Fuck this! Yeah, I'm gonna start a fire wherever it is. I'm gonna tell the guards at the post, yeah, there's a fire. You need to fucking check this shit out, and I'm gonna leave with the mum. The mum in this position." She is in her delirious state until they get to the mainland. She's like, where are we going? And it's really only when they get to the mainland, she's like, wait, this is the mainland. Yeah. Because again, it's when they're in the countryside, it's just a vast open and they keep referencing it like it's endless. And
it wasn't until she saw like the houses that like it like clicked in her brain. She's like, oh, this is the mainland.
Yeah. She's the mainland.
But yeah, I love it because it shows like how selfless but selfish at the same time Alfie is, because he is a kid at the same time. There's a lot of, I love this coming of age story because it shows him grow and mature while also making so many mistakes. Like we see the whole beginning of the movie shows like scarce resources, please save, and he just burns that shit all down to save his mom. So like selfless to help his mom, but like really fucks over his
really
entire
just
village.
Naive and like
like they're already scarce. He's like, I'm just gonna burn down this whole shed of resources to get my mom out of here. When I feel like he probably could have just said like I'm taking my mom. Like, well, if you don't make it back, then we can't help you. And then one guy might be like, I'm gonna go tell your dad, and he's like, I could probably get across when my dad finds out, so I'll go. And but yeah, I don't think you need to burn the whole village down. But yeah, good scene though.
They get there and kind of obviously the goal, like I just said, is to find. Was it Kelson?
Dr. Kelso.
Kelson. Yeah, Dr. Ian Kelson. And the goal is trying to find him, and they know where to look, obviously, because Spike's seen the fire before. And they're getting like a bunch of conundrums, see some infected. I mean, one of the most notable things is the introduction of a character called Eric, which gave some kind of comedic value into the film, which I really appreciated and I really enjoyed.
Dude, Eric, there was a good chunk of this movie where I thought everything that was happening was being hallucinated, or it was like a dream. I shit you not, I didn't think Eric was real. And
well, there is a hallucination before that would make you, because she hallucinates her dad being there, and that's what she
exactly. That's why I thought. And then Eric came on, and why does Eric have an iPhone?
Because he's not in the UK.
He's part of the so the quarantine is being kept by like all these soldiers are surrounding the islands in boats. So like they're all like well equipped, furnished part of the army, but his boat sank. So then he got to the mainland. So he probably and it didn't
Yeah.
happen too long ago.
Because Eric is Swedish and it's British quarantine, isn't it? I think like one of the things I like about this is kind of the culture shock that Spike realized, or the culture shock of Eric that realized that Spike doesn't know anything because he's like, oh, my friend's a delivery driver. You know, people who order things online. And so
he's like, you don't know what online is.
Yeah. And I love the intro because obviously he was part of the Navy and his like boat sank. It was like 5 of them, and 2 of them, all of them get fucked by one of the Alpha guys, and he just tears heads clean off, like,
crazy,
with the spine attached.
Yeah,
wild.
So easily too, so unbelievably easy. It was crazy.
I love the bit when because they're like running away from zombies because they kill loads of them, and they're in like that dark kind of tunnel area, and then the Alpha comes out of nowhere and just starts smashing people. It's wild, and I really enjoyed that because then Eric kind of bumps into the and then he's like, yeah, why? I understand it's different, but why does your mom call you dad and shit? I was like, it's so funny. Like she calls like daddy and stuff like that.
That was one of the funniest scenes of the year was when he was explaining the whole delivery driver story, and like Alfie didn't understand whatever the hell he was saying, and then by the end of it, like he's like, "You get what I'm saying?" And Alfie's like, "No." He's like, "It means I should have been a fucking delivery driver, not in the military," which is like a great parallel to just like earlier in the film with Alfie, like. And how his dad tells a story of him going out there and be like, oh, he's like the greatest warrior of them all, kind of like a very like American Sniper-esque story. So a good parallel to like people go into the military with maybe good intentions, and then they realize it's just like a sensationalized farce for the majority of it. And he's like, yeah, I should have joined the military. Like this ruined my life. I should have just been a delivery driver or whatever. But it's incredibly funny. And to George's point about the maybe like a hallucination, like that's not a terrible thing to think either, because when they meet him, they're in like a gas-filled gas station with like inhalation fumes and stuff. So it's like that's not a terrible
brain to
go. It'll be like, well, when you first meet this guy, they're probably high as hell on fumes. So
because they're in like that gas station, what you said, and then he like comes over the top and starts shooting and like essentially saves them. And then he's like immediately like, so where do I go now? Well, that's kind of the whole thing. They're like, I don't fucking know. I love the bit where he shows his girlfriend. And he's like, bro, what's wrong with her face?
And Spike's like, no, I've seen people with allergic reactions too.
It's like a shellfish allergy on the island. He's like, oh shit. I love that bit so much. But he doesn't, Eric doesn't last long because one of a point of reference, well, actually, go back to what George said. We missed out the bit where they sleep and then Isla kills that fat zombie who's crawling up on.
I think that was after Eric's dead, though.
Yeah, that was after.
Was it after?
Yeah, because Eric's not there.
No, I thought that was before.
Oh no! I think that was before. That was
before they meet Eric.
You're right. Because when they're escaping the Alpha that kills Eric, that's when Ray Fiennes goes. So it must be before. Which is a really cool moment when, like, they're sleeping in Spike's meant to be on watch, and we kind of see this blob like coming up and just crawling on him. And then suddenly
thinking it's a worm.
Yeah.
That was fucked, man. He was right in Spike's face. Oh my god, that was.
And then suddenly, like,
shit out of me.
Wakes up and there's this dead zombie, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" Isla and Spike. And
we didn't talk. We the first in the first half of the movie, they keep cutting back to like the zombies, and it's like this like red night vision type of shots. We never talked about those. Those were. Yeah, like they were teasing like what's to come, and it was a very interesting way of like flash forwarding, I guess, because you end up seeing all of that in the second half of the movie when all of this chaos like unfolds. But like it was, especially during the boots montage, you keep cutting back and forth like this night vision, red colored sequences. Yeah, it was very gross, but it was very cool.
I like the parallels of like the old school battle sequences as well. You know, with like the knights and the.
Were those from a specific movie or just some like stock footage of archers? Like
I actually don't know. I don't think I recognize them.
I didn't recognize them either, but they look.
I'm not certain.
Probably
not,
movies
not
that
important,
be cool. Whatever. But
it was cool. It was got. I just like the parallel between that, like the size of Pirate.
For sure.
So then,
back to like the when the mom, what's her name, Isla, when she kills that. I think it's like just like an important theme of the movie. Obviously, that maternal instincts pierce through, you know, being infected, being ill. Like you always have that mom inside you that's always going to protect your kid. And
she doesn't have a gun, by the way. She demolishes this guy
with like a jean jacket or some shit.
Just smashes his head
puts his
Over,
head
yeah.
into a brick wall.
Which
several times.
I don't know how there's even worms still left in the UK at this point, because all those crawlers are so fat and they just feed off worms on the ground. So it's like, to be that fat from just worms, they got to be knocking down quadruple digits of worms.
Yeah, that is crazy. How they just maybe they eat each other, Tyler. That's what you're forgetting. Maybe that's part of the thing.
Probably,
Part of the problem.
That's the expert analysis you get on the ReelTok podcast.
Yeah,
How
true.
fat can you get eating worms?
Let me put in
You know
my
what was-
fitness
you know
pal how
what
many
it-
worms they need. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what did make me sad when we see the child one? You know, when he's
Yeah.
like, he's like, oh, that's kind of
Dude, and it looked like a big baby too. It didn't even look like a child. It looked like a
It was really
baby.
weird, yeah.
That was fucked.
And essentially this takes us to the moment in which they hear screaming, and they get on this like bus, like a school bus or whatever, and there's this infected woman that's pregnant, and there's a really like maternal moment and a mother unconditional like love moment between this infected woman and Jodie Comer's character, where they kind of join hands when she's giving birth practically, and the baby she gives birth to is not infected, it's just a normal baby. And I think Ray Fiennes' character makes a comment about that, how like it was something about the placenta like is always protected and things like that, and that's kind of the reason it's not baby isn't infected. And then the baby's born, and she is about to go wild essentially, but Eric's like, fuck this, shoots her in the head, whatever. And then he's like, put the baby down, I'm gonna shoot this baby because we can't risk it, whatever. Which I get, you know what I mean?
I get it.
Not
I'd
a
be
bad
paranoid.
mindset. Nope.
I'd be paranoid too.
Yeah, like crazy. And then here in comes Mr. Massive Penis himself.
Samson.
Mr. 28 inches later.
Which Samson, obviously is very biblical. You cut off the hair, and that's when he loses power.
Yeah.
I hope it's you cut off the dong and he loses power in the second sequel. Oh.
So he comes in and grabs Eric and just rips his head clean off. They love doing it. He loves doing that. He loves that move.
Big fan.
Yeah. Do you know how strong you have to be?
It's wild.
I don't actually.
No.
I don't.
I actually don't know, to be fair. Yeah,
You got to be so unbelievably strong to rip a man's head and spine clean
Out.
off his body, man.
very satisfying to
Oh
watch, I must
my
say.
God.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
And they're like escaping, and this is kind of the introduction of Ray Fiennes' character, in
Of
which
the goat.
Kelson, yeah.
the goat. When basically it's looking lost, like they're out in this kind of like tall grass bit of the field, and then outside the bus, and the Alpha's closing again, and he's about to get them. He's about to get Spike, and then we see like a blow dart from Ray Fiennes' character, and again, it subverts expectations in this, that Ray Fiennes it does the classic thing where it leads you to believe that he is insane, and I think we've seen this kind of trope before, and I think most of us probably figured out at this stage as soon as he starts speaking that he's not, and he's actually just.
I was preparing myself for like not Ray Fiennes' voice. I thought he was going to be doing like a really big, brooding, like aggressive, like accent, because they really built up this like lore around him that he's like this really shitty, mysterious, deranged man. And then he comes on screen and like
It's just Ray Fiennes.
it's just Ray Fiennes' voice. He's like,
And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry,
I
I'm in
call
orange."
This one Samson.
Yeah, he's
This
like, "I'm
is
sorry, I'm
Samson."
sorry, I'm like colored in orange because
Yeah.
was
I
it, like,
paint
scared the
myself
smell?
with blood.
Iodine.
yeah, the
Yeah.
iodine like pushed like the smell wasn't the way the infected or something. I can't
Dude,
remember.
he was washing his hands with blood at one point. Like, I really expected him to come on screen and be like, "That's Samson. Fuck that guy." But then he was just talking like Ray Fiennes. I was
He
like,
just
"That's-"
comes over to Sansa and then pulls his head off, and you're like, "Fuck."
which
bro,
I
this
think
guy-
is even more deranged. The fact that like he's doing all this absolute carnage
Mhm.
and he's just a normal.
What's the fact
fuck-
he's in
he's
the
so
main line
calm. He's so
on his
calm.
own.
He's
Yeah.
almost like charming a little bit, where you're like, wow, like he's like a little.
He's like a gentleman. He's just a
Yeah, he's
classic,
like a gentleman.
English-
He's very
yeah.
polite. He's educating Spike and his mom about the alphas and what you need to do. Yeah, it really was a great performance.
But this
Yeah.
one was a big what the fuck moment in theater for me though, and Riley, where we like both looked at each other. Like after they drug him, and then it's like, okay, now run away. We were both like, the fuck, like
Cut
end
his
him
head off.
here, like
Yeah.
kill him here. Like I don't know if it's like because like once you put one arrow in him, he might like snap out of the drug fueled rage, and it's like
Yeah.
we only had one or whatever. But if it really just like knocked him out, like I would just like, even if you only had 3 arrows, like shoot the 3, then go and pull him out of his head, and then just load it up again, shoot the 3 again. But yeah, we were kind of confused where we're like, okay, Why are you running from this man now?
You know what I was thinking? A bow and arrow cannot be the best weapon of choice.
Well, I don't think they can't like.
Yeah, I would be out there looking for a sword. I think a sword would be
a sword.
The
At least
best.
the bow and arrow gives you some range.
It gives you range, but you have a finite amount. You know, you can't just.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would want a sword and a bow and arrow. That'd be a great combo for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, a gun would be ideal, but it might be tricky to.
Yeah,
to
but
obtain,
run out of bullets and stuff. And
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know if Alfie's got the strength to handle a machine gun like Eric.
No, absolutely not.
That would have been a twist. That would have been a big twist. Yeah, I mean, so then we're introduced to Ian Kelson, Ray Fiennes' character, who essentially is a man living like on his own, which could be seen as insane. And kind of the first moments we get from him are the conversation about Isla isn't really spoken about yet, and we kind of learn the mantra that Ray Fiennes' character holds. I think it's memento mori, which I think means does it mean like all should die or remember to die?
Remember the dead.
Remember the dead. Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And that's
Ray Fiennes saying shit like that just sounds so much like Voldemort to me. When he first memento mori, I'm like, what are you conjuring up?
just buzz that unforgivable.
Like, you know what that means, and it's just some potion or something he's about to unleash.
And
it's like Latin, right?
Yeah, I think it's a Latin phrase. Yeah, remember the dead. Yeah,
he knocked two birds out with one stone by learning Latin.
True. And then we're taken to he shows Spike this bone temple, essentially.
Dude, it's a graveyard.
Practically, yeah.
You realize quickly, like he's not killing these human beings. He is just immortalizing souls that have fallen to the zombie apocalypse. Which it's back to Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, because Aaron Taylor Johnson obviously did not do his due diligence. He didn't go down there and say, "Hey, what's up?" after he saw all those bodies. So you're led to believe that this dude's like this ravenous serial killer. And then you realize he is just it's a graveyard, and he's not the murderer. He's just trying to pay his respects to fallen souls.
And the thing I found so interesting about him as a character as well is because obviously he's been living on his own for so long, like just his pure like knowledge and what he's learned himself about the infected and about everything, about the different variations and about how he can survive and what works and what doesn't. And his whole like almost celebratory thing about death and, like George said, like, immortalizing the dead and making this kind of bone tower. The first scenes we get is it's Eric's head, isn't it? That he takes Eric's skull and he says to Spike, if you want to like place it on the bone tower, which obviously is a bigger moment later down the line. And this is kind of where the film, for me, like I know Tyler, you didn't love this as much. I probably like maybe prefer this bit because it really impacted me personally. And this is where, when I was referring to my review, when it kind of becomes a lot more reflective as a film than maybe anticipated. There's moments of this in 28 Days, but definitely nowhere near as much.
I think that was the most emotional sequence of the trilogy. That entire segment, until I'm not going to spoil it, we'll get there, but until the very end of that sequence when Spike puts the skull on top of the mountain or whatever you want to call it. Like, I think that entire sequence is just beautiful.
It's kind of crazy how he just like boils the bodies and like takes off skin.
Disgusting. Yeah, absolutely disgusting.
He is insane. Like I know he's not insane in like maybe a derogatory sense, but he is insane.
He is insane with how calm. Like he was holding Eric's head when it wasn't a skull, it was an actual head, and he was like making the hair nice. He was like, "Oh, we'll remember Eric. We'll pay our respects to Eric." I'm like, dude, you are looking at a fucking head right now.
It's kind of crazy. So he shows us kind of this bone temple and speaks to Spike, and again, kind of puts across his mantra, and we really understand him as a character, and he's like the embodiment of memento mori as well. And then kind of comes in the bit where Spike speaks about kind of why he's there and why he's saw him, and says, my mom's ill. Can you fucking figure out what's wrong with her? And then he like does some like little like physical exams and checks and asks the questions and tests like neurological stuff and whatever. And he basically comes to the determination that obviously we expected. Yeah. And he says, he can't do a biopsy or anything, but he says that it's probably likely she's got cancer and is is it metastasized? I can't say that word.
Metastasized.
Metastasized. Yeah. And that she's at the end, essentially.
Yeah. We keep, I think we've mentioned like this is also like a very coming of age movie. And I love that there's this one like very, not a brief moment, but the moment where Ray Fiennes' character tells them like, yes, this is most likely cancer. Spike like freaks out. Spike's like, well, do something. Like, what can you do? And Ray Fiennes like, what do you want me to do? Like, there's nothing around here for me
doesn't know
to
really
do.
what, like,
Yeah, Spike is like, this is where just like that child ignorance like came in, and like you see that growth throughout the movie. Is like he takes his mom on this journey to see the doctor, and in his head, the second the doctor touches his mom, she'll be cured. She'll be like relieved. He'll have everything she needs to get better. Where he doesn't realize that you're 28 years into the zombie apocalypse. Like, this man's got nothing. He's not going to be able to help your mom out. He'll be able to diagnose her with something to the best of his abilities, given observation, but he can't actually test her. He can't actually
because
diagnose
nothing
her.
would help her. Like, I mean, I'm
Nothing.
not a cancer
Yeah,
expert.
nothing in that situation.
She's in the final state.
Exactly. Nothing would help her.
Whatever.
And there's that like moment of realization where Spike like starts crying, and he's like, well, do something. Like, why aren't you doing anything? Like, I came here all this way, like, help her. And he realizes like, wow, like, this is the world I live in. Like, I went through all of that effort to get my mom here, and there's just absolutely nothing there's nothing anyone can do right now.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking when he's like, will her death be painful? And then she's like, I've already been in like the worst pain ever. So it's like brutal for him to know, like, because obviously, like, if your loved one's gonna die, it's want to be peaceful. And she's like, yeah, she's been struggling for a long time, like feeling like awful. So just brutal for him to realize.
And they kind of he like sedates him essentially. So Spike's like there, as in he's conscious, but he's unable to move. He's unable to really absorb kind of what's going on as we see Ray Fiennes lead kind of Isla into the more wooded area or whatever. It's kind of
into eternity.
Into eternity, you could say, yeah. And it's kind of obvious as to what transpires there. And I don't know, man. This like scene, tears were flowing.
This got me.
It really did. Even before when Tyler just mentioned, when Isla is speaking to Spike about kind of the pain she's already been living through, and how it's okay, and Ray Fiennes speaks to Spike, and he's like, that it is kind of a way of life, and it's an eventuality, it's something that happens, and not to long on it in a negative aspect, but to celebrate it in a sense. And this is why I like this film, because it's not just drowned in like a morbid nature. It is visually, but you know what I mean. There are like positive sequences, really, really ones, and sentiments. And then I love the separation of the Latin phrase, because at first what is Ray Fiennes' character's name? I keep saying Ray Fiennes, Kelson.
Dr. Ian Kelson.
Okay, when Ian initially says memento mori, and he only explains that half of the phrase, which is, remember you will die, and then after everything transpires with the mother, he brings in memento vivere, which is remember to live, basically telling Spike like death is inevitable, especially in this world that we're living in with the zombie apocalypse. Like, death is going to happen. It's either going to come early, it's either going to be able to live out your life, but you got to remember to live. That whole sentiment there was just, it was so beautiful. And then putting it in the context of like this very strong mother-son relationship, just that really had me like going emotionally, like that really, again, we keep saying this film reaches a level of emotion I don't think I quite expected from
this.
Like you have in 28 Days Later, like when Brendan Gleeson's character gets like blood dropped in his eye, there's a very emotional scene of him yelling at his daughter, like, stay back, stay back. This, no disrespect to 28 Days Later, I think this scene blows that out in terms of like raw emotion. Like, I think this really got me because of that like strong mother-son relationship, and then just that brilliant score. Like, there's a whole like 6-minute sequence in the middle of this where no one says a word. It's just music and shots and Ray Fiennes, and it's beautiful, and it really works. Because
then obviously Spike gets the skull of his mom, and then
insane, by the way, handing a 12-year-old boy his mom's skull. Insane.
I think that's just how much he separates death from the negative. It is mad though. And he goes very fucking. This is a fucking high tower, by the way. He's
climbs
like
really high.
Like really fucking high. He goes right to the top,
crazy high.
And like George said, just the score in the sequence, it really, really got me. Grief has been tackled like this similarly many times, but I think it's just within this universe and within a film like this, it's something I didn't expect. Like George said, something he didn't expect. And it just really works for me on an emotional level. And particularly when he's climbing it and when he puts it on there and the score, like just really hit me. I know it like didn't do as much for you, Tyler.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just unfortunately I just didn't get like a strong bond between Alfie and Jodie Comer. And I don't know if that was just I didn't get enough time with either of them because the first half of the movie is really him and his dad, but I just like didn't get there was like cute moments I had with like him bringing her the bacon and her not eating it and him kind of realizing that, and him sticking up for her. But yeah, I don't know. I just that's a scene that should always work for me. For some reason, it didn't. Like, I mean, it worked, but it's like I didn't think it was a bad scene, but didn't get the emotion out of me. The only two like emotional moments. One is later in the film, so it's like the final note, and then the other one was earlier when when like him and his dad fight, and he's like leave and like defends his mom. Like those two, I was like that got me, but yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole climax, and that's why I think maybe I just didn't fall in love with Ralph Fiennes and Jodie Comer's performance as much as other people, just because like that just didn't all come together for me, I guess. But nothing negative against the scene, but I don't know. That's a scene that should get me and should work, but it just didn't. I don't know why.
Fair. Is anything else happen after this until the letter that I'm forgetting?
No, the letter is.
Well, Samson attacks them in the grave.
Oh yeah,
and that's when Kelson's like, "Yeah, you should probably leave me the fuck alone now."
Oh yeah,
which is why it's weird to see him. I don't know when movies aren't released yet. I don't think cast means a whole lot for like the next film, but I hope we see more Ralph Fiennes. But I kind of got that his story. I mean, he's probably so important that they'll find him again, but. His story kind of seemed wrapped up here. It was like he taught him what he needs.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I mean, this movie is such a video game, so it's kind of like he met this guy, got the words of wisdom, and then Kelson was like, "All right, let me burn these bodies. Get the fuck away from me with this baby.
Yeah.
Dude. Like you're bad news. Like nice meeting you. So long." So he's in the cast of the next one. To me, I thought his story was done here, but yeah, he gets attacked.
I imagine
gets attacked in the sewer or whatever, and then that's when he survives, but then he's like, he almost got de-spined, but then that's when Alfie and the baby leave and they split their separate ways, and that's kind of leads to the note, I'd say.
Yeah, so Alfie essentially decides that he wants to like stay on the mainland for a bit and explore and do things for himself and be in this world and live essentially as what he finds taught him, and he sends a letter to home describing that, and they get the scene in which Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, you know, charges Alice basically into the water and does the scream, like Cedric Diggory's dad.
I don't know how people didn't like his performance, man. Everything he did worked.
He was really good.
I don't know. I get that. I said this in a video. I get that Aaron Taylor Johnson had this, like, his filmography, when you look at it on a like visual level, it's pretty iffy. But I feel like now, like with Nosferatu and this, I think he's a fucking good actor. I think he's a really good performer. He might not be like perfect leading material, but I think as a character, he's like really good.
I know he's got range, and I know like he's a weird actor to like talk about range with, but like he's doing the comedy in Bullet Train, and he's fantastic.
Yeah,
you know,
him and Brian Henry Tyree were the best parts of Bullet Train. Like they're funny dynamics, so he can
hilarious.
do everything.
He's doing Nosferatu. He could do a period
really
piece, a really hard role. You know, he's coming here doing a little bit more of a physical, like brooding, deadbeat dad type of role. You know, even Kraven the Hunter, he could do a superhero. Like he's a good. I like him, man. He's a good.
And I didn't realize he's only like 35 still as well.
He's
and I'm glad he's taking this period now to go into like not real films, but you know what I mean, like more adventurous roles for him.
Like he's not picking Avengers: Age of Ultron. Like he's stretching his like limits.
Yeah, for sure. So I realized it. Let us know in the comments down below. There's a comment.
What you think of him? Yeah.
What you think of Aaron Taylor Johnson?
But it's important to note, he also, when he leaves the note, he also leaves the baby. So the baby's back at the mainland.
Oh yeah.
Which I think also like is a subtle thematic element that works, is that when Alfie and his father Jamie return back from their hunt at the beginning of the film, like even though they're being chased by these infected, they're very skeptical of even letting them in the village, or like staring at him in the eyes, like, are you good or are you not? But the baby, they get right away, just the innocence of a baby. Like they saw the baby there and immediately they just brought him to the village. They didn't like check him, inspect him. Like they weren't, because obviously I think any logical villager would realize like that has to be an infected baby. Like there's no way there's just like a mother that's normal, that's living on her own out on the mainland, that like a baby all came out back here. So kind of shows that you can trust a baby and trust the innocence of a newborn child compared to like a grown person has a lot more possibility to be corrupted.
Yeah, and then we kind of get to the ending, which is a crazy tonal switch. And I'll say that when I watched this at first, I liked it. Like I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't sure on the, like a lot of people have said, on the timing of it. You know, it being kind of the lead to the next film, and I wasn't sure. I was like, do we really need to put this in now? But I think about it, I still like the scene. So this is where Jack O'Connell finally comes out, because we see it scenes where like Spike's being chased by a horde, and then suddenly Jack O'Connell appears in this like tracksuit, yellow, blonde wig, all his kind of cronies wearing the same thing. I'm assuming you guys know who Jimmy Savile is, right?
Not until after seeing this and researching him.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know who Jimmy Savile is, yeah? Now
I do, yeah.
Okay, so obviously something to do with him. The way I see it is it's kind of a thing about like a generational thing, a regressive generations, and he's kind of portrayed that. Because what you could also look at this, and essentially what happens is they have a crazy, almost like, George, you've seen like Resident Evil-esque fight sequence. Power Rangers, Resident Evil, Dawn of the Dead, weird fucking thing where it kind of becomes comedic and eccentric, and the way they're kind of dressed, and it portrays the kind of 70s, 80s UK, and Jimmy Savile as a person. George, I would do some research on Jimmy Savile as a person, by the way. It's really interesting. I like it now, but I'm still not like 100% on it. I do think, though, I do like how brash it is, and it's just like daring and weird and bold, just chuck a tonal switch and like that. And I understand, like Tyler said, if you need funding for furthering your franchise, you need to give them something. And that's just what films do in general if it's a franchise,
Yeah, it's a tough final fight. So here's my like overall thoughts on the final 5 minutes of the movie. So a couple things I want to note here. One, I saw some general audiences mention like they don't want, like, because Jimmy Savile, like his story and his atrocities he committed it just hasn't made it to America in a way that like Jeffrey Epstein, like everyone knows that in his story. So it's like people in America kind of did do some research to figure out who Jimmy Savile was. I saw people say like, oh, I don't want to have to do like homework to understand my movies. But even if you don't know who he is and still don't know who he is, and you listen to this review, I still don't think it matters, because you see Jimmy carved into the body. You see at the beginning the cross upside down. So I don't even think you need to make the connection of that being like trying to parody like a real monster from like the UK. I think it's just like, I think the signs are there to just lead you to be like, oh, this is just like a cult leader from the beginning of the movie. Like I don't get why people are so confused like who this guy is. Like, again, like I clearly is Jimmy Savile, but like I don't think that matters to the point like if you didn't know who that is, like me, like I still got like, yeah, it's clearly like this cult leader. Like people are carving Jimmy into bodies, whether it's his cultists doing that, whether it's a sacrifice or whatever. So I got that. But yeah, it's very totally different. I like it because this whole movie is a coming of age story. So you're seeing the movie through the eyes of a child. So he's being saved by these people. So he's going to see them as like these superheroes, Power Rangers, masters of like were they actually doing all these kung fu flips and shit? Like maybe, but the way I took it was just like, it was him being so stunned by like, wow, these heroes swooped in and saved the day. And like, it's almost as him telling it around a campfire. Like, yeah, these guys came, they're doing flips and they saved me. And you should have seen how crazy it was. So it's like almost through his lens. Yeah.
I didn't remember this. I didn't put two and two together. I saw someone else talk about it on Twitter or something, but there's a shot of a Power Rangers doll in Spike's room as well.
I did not catch that. So yeah, that makes sense.
And the fight sequence is very Power Rangers, Resident Evil weird-esque, Yeah.
George? So like I liked it for that reason. I think thematically or tonally, I think it would probably work better to be the introduction of the next film, but I think you just had to put it in this one because it is so bold, and I love it for being bold. But yeah, like people in the theater, it's going to be mixed. Honestly, mixed might even be a stretch. I think most people who see it are probably going to dislike the ending. And as someone who likes it because I see what they're trying to do, I don't think I can really like down talk any criticism, but I think I see everything from the criticism. One thing again, that's kind of what I talked about earlier about Alfie growing as a coming of age film, but also still being naive. Because I feel like the whole arc with him and his dad was like him learning that humans are evil and aren't just all inherently good, and that they like basically his dad is like his protector, but also like is a terrible person. So it's like he kind of sees like, oh, this guy's been protecting me. I thought he was gonna be great, but actually he has all these flaws. So the part of it what I didn't love about the end is that like it's kind of showing him just kind of relapsing on what he learned there. Cause it's like, these people protected me. So I'm going to just trust them wholeheartedly and not kind of learning the lesson of like, just because someone protected you or like has that strength to defend you, they're going to be just like a good person you should trust. So that's the only part I didn't like love. Just like narratively, I feel like it kind of but again, he's 12 years old, so he's not going to learn every lesson and have it stick with him. But obviously knowing Jimmy Savile's story now, like, the sinister consequence of what's probably to come in the second movie. And then there's obviously the interesting moment, like part that 28 days later, Cillian Murphy's character is named Jim. So how is Jim going to figure into this? Is that just a coincidence? Is it part of somehow this Jimmy cult, and are they mixed together somehow, or is it just to make a Jim versus Jimmy battle? Like, I don't know, but a lot of interesting implications come from the final scene. Overall, I think I like it, but I don't know. Anyone who doesn't like it, I know a lot of people on Twitter are being very vocal, and a lot of people ever are being very vocal. Like, oh, if you don't like the ending, you're just lame. And like, part of me kind of agrees, but like, also like, I do think it's valid. So like, it's so out there. It's such a swing. I love it for being a swing. But yeah, it's a crazy way to end a film for sure.
George.
Yeah.
Just to say, Jimmy Savile, you don't have to make this parallel, but was a guy in the UK who was like a huge presenter, radio presenter, TV presenter. He presented like children's shows. He was a huge name. He was in with the royal family. That's how popular he was. He was in with governmental figures. He was basically like just a huge guy.
Yeah.
He died in 2011. After he died, it was basically uncovered a huge sexual abuse scandal that he was involved in, that he figureheaded, in which he abused many children. Huge scandal.
Like
him
hundreds.
himself, hundreds, and people covered it up. They were parts of the royals as well. And it was only uncovered after he died, and it went on for a long period of time. And he, as a person himself, was a very like eccentric figure. So he literally like Jack O'Connell's appearance. That's essentially what he looked like. Tracksuits. Like he had like
the
huge blonde hair, like a glass of on the film, like carried around cigars. But that's essentially who he was.
And he had like a posse of minions like that, like a tracksuit. Rolling with them, rolling deep. Yeah.
And he had like people who would basically go further to hide his transgression, to hide his atrocities. Essentially, that's who he is. So that's why people are saying like putting two and two together. It's like one of Britain's darkest like stories, I guess, of the last fucking ever. Really, that gives you kind of background.
Yeah, I'm like looking him up right now. I see this tracksuit.
And what's interesting, because 2025 is a year. In the last 4 months, we had Jack O'Connell playing a Jimmy Savile parody that people are mixed on its inclusion and how on the nose it is, and the way it comes across so in your face. And just a few months ago, I saw Bong Joon-ho do the same thing with Mark Ruffalo and like a Donald Trumpish character, where it's like it's kind of twice, and the reactions are the same, where people are like, even the people who are like anti are still like, I'm a little mixed on how in your face this parody was. It's just interesting that in the last 4 months we've gotten two pretty big name studio films and theaters parodying these very polarizing figures. I say Trump's very polarizing. We where we all land, but Jimmy Savile, I wouldn't say is polarizing at this point. It's like there's kind of
if he's polarizing to anyone, if anyone's on the opposite spectrum, like that's
I'd say I guess when he was alive, he's polarizing. Because there was like people who are like unsure about him while he's alive, but no one knew for sure. But it's just interesting that Mickey 17 and this kind of both do similar things with their caricatures of real life people, and the audience reactions are pretty similar to both.
Really interesting. George, what did you think of the ending?
I don't know. I was a little mixed on it. Like immediately, I think it was just such a jarring tonal shift where I was like, wait, what the fuck just happened? But I think the more I think on it and the more I talk to people about it, I kind of like it. I like that it's basically like this massive expansion of this world where you're like, oh, there's so much more going on. And whether or not like the performance of that posse doing flips and shit was like embellished just to give you like the mindset of where like Spike is, I still think it's cool that it's giving you like there are more clans out there. There are more, posses out there.
They're spoken about, aren't they, in the film? People like reference there's other townships. We don't know anything about them, right? I'm really bringing up Ballerina a lot this episode, but like Ballerina, where you learn that there are like other clans outside of the Continental, and like it's like the cool expansion of the universe. That's how I felt about that ending, where it's like, oh, like okay, we're not isolated to this island. Yeah,
there's the mainland is this barren wasteland, but there's also like clans of people out there that live and exist that we don't know about, that we're most likely going to explore in the next 2 movies. So
hopefully 2 films.
Yeah, like initially it was a little jarring. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little taken aback by that ending, but
I think it's impossible to not be jarred by it.
The more I think about it, and the more you guys discuss the fact that like maybe all that shit didn't happen, maybe that was just in Spike's head on like how performative it was. I think the more I can kind of like appreciate that final sequence, but I think I need to rewatch the movie to really tell you if I think it's a good scene or a bad scene.
Yeah. I mean, rewatching it will give you more of an insight, because I guarantee there's more things in the film outside of like what I said, the Power Rangers thing, which I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, and the Jimmy on the guy's whatever. There's going to be some more links there, so that'll be fun to try and point out to them. Anything else you wanted to kind of go over with 28 years?
Well, I guess I was just thinking about the ending again, and again, I still like it, but I was just thinking if you're trying to leave on a cliffhanger, like I would almost say it would probably excite people more to not have that ending, because that might turn some people off of the sequel. And you could have I feel like it would even be more of a shit, I gotta see where this goes, if you just had the end with him running away from zombies and cut to black. Then you'd be like, what the fuck happened? So I'm like, I'm thinking about like how they needed the cliffhanger to something. I'm like, I feel like that would make me want to see it more if it's just like him running away. I'm like, how is he gonna get out of this one? It's just a kid.
Or like he's running away from zombies, and then suddenly all the zombies get shot with arrows, and you get
that would be freaking sick, because then you'd be like, is that Cillian Murphy? Is that is that his dad? Is that who? But the next movie, I guess, in terms of like the only other thing I want to say is, I guess, where I want to see the next movie go is like, which Far Cry is it, where it's all about a cult leader and like Montana's that Far Cry?
My favorite, it's Far Cry 5. I love Far Cry 5.
I hope it's like Alfie in this compound of Jimmy's, trying to be brainwashed, and then at the end, the Dr. Ian Kelson of that one will either be Aaron Taylor Johnson or Cillian Murphy kind of coming in to break his son out of there. So I would love it to be a very Far Cry 5-esque.
Did you play Far Cry 5, Tyler?
Ages ago. I played Far Cry 3 and 5. Those are the only ones I've ever played.
That's the only ones you need to play, so that's perfectly fine.
There we go. I didn't do that purposely. It's just the way it happened. But I want to see, mainly because I've wanted to see like a Far Cry 5 type film forever. But I think that's where they're kind of leading to. I think it's going to be Alfie, Spike, and
indoctrinated in this
cult of Jimmy's. They're going to make him go out and do shit like the guy he's at the beginning of the house, where he's going to have to, someone who's a denier, he's going to have to kill him, string him up, carve Jimmy into it. He's going to maybe go by Jimmy in the next movie as well.
Oh man, that sounds fucking cool. I just thought about it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but it's already filmed and it comes out in like 260 days or something, Nia DaCosta. So I'm excited for it. It's hard to not be excited for it, even though I do come away from this a bit more mixed than others. But the thing is, this movie is so tonally different than audiences are expecting. And I think the next one's going to be very tonally different than this one. It's still having the same themes that all the 28 days and years at least, where it's like a story on grief and human nature and evil inherently within people. But I think this is going to be, I'm expecting the Bone Temple to be like a way different movie than this movie was. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll leave that. So 4.5 for me, 4 for George, 3.5 for Tyler, and then a 4.5.
4.5, yeah.
4.5 for Cam.
Cool. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts were on 20 years later, and what you would want to see from the sequel as well, or subsequent sequels, both of them. Tyler will review the new Pixar.
Yeah, I'll just talk on Elio quick. So I'll just be like 5 minutes, but I'll talk about it.
Give me a show when you're done.
Yep, will do. All right, so Elio, we'll go through a synopsis. This is the latest film from Pixar. They asked for our leader. They got ... him. Elio, a space fanatic with an active imagination, finds himself on a cosmic misadventure where he must form new bonds with eccentric alien life forms, navigate a crisis of intergalactic proportions, and somehow discover who he's truly meant to be. This is directed by Domi Shi, as well as it's directed by multiple people: Domi Shi, Madeline Sharafian, and Adrian Molina. But notably, Domi Shi is director of Turning Red. So those are the two films that Domi Shi has directed. I make sure I don't have filters on. So yeah, those are only two films. Turning Red's one that I didn't love as much as most people, but so many of my mutuals like hold on to that film so dearly. And I only watched it when it was first dumped on Disney Plus. So I need to give it a rewatch, because I think Domi Shi is a genius when it comes to the Pixar world. And I think after Elio, I think she deserves the keys to the kingdom at this point. But Elio's already the box office people are talking about is coming out. It's not doing great, and no one really expected it to. It's an original Pixar film. But the thing is, we saw this in 2023 with Elemental. Elemental came out, and every headline was, this movie's doing terribly. No one's going to see it. They kept it in theaters. It came out about this time in 2023, beginning of summer. They kept it in theaters all the way through August. And by the end of it, you like look at the box office, like, this is not even a flop anymore. This movie did very well. I'm hoping Elio can. I'm going to post a TikTok on it today to try and do my part to get to talk about this, because I'm the only one here to talk about it. Cam did see it, but he had a dip. So it's kind of ironic that, you know, me, the kind of anti-animation guy, would be the person to talk about this film. But I loved it. I really loved Elio, and we just finished talking about 28 Years Later. I liked Elio, I think, a little bit more. I think 28 Years Later just has a little edge for me just because of how much I love the technical elements. But Elio is an emotional gut punch. And I mentioned that the emotion for me just somewhat didn't work in 28 Years Later, whereas Elio just absolutely punched me in the gut. This movie is devastating. This is a sad, sad movie. It's like in broad sweeps, what the story's about is this kid is not an orphan, but both of his parents die, and he's being watched for, and this is the beginning of the movie, this just sets of the movie. So both his parents have passed away, and he's being watched by his aunt, who is in the military. So very busy with her job and role of being part of the military. That's also kind of looking for life forms and aliens. And that's kind of her role, is looking for other life from other worlds. And feels unwanted. He feels like he's a burden on everyone in his life. He feels like no one wants him. He has no friends, really. He gets bullied. Really freaking tragic beginning. Like, this is a sad ass movie where this guy is just getting beaten down from all angles and feels completely worthless in this world. And again, this is the synopsis of the film, and that's how tragic it is. He dreams and yearns to be abducted by aliens because he can't stand his life so much on Earth, feels so out of his body and unnatural in Earth, that he wants to be abducted to another planet, abducted by aliens, because whatever's out there, even though it's unknown, has to be better than what he has on Earth, where he feels like he has a burden on his aunt who is too busy to handle him, feels like he has no friends, feels like he doesn't belong. He wants out of this world and goes to find somewhere else, no matter what it is. So he's literally going out at night and sending like SOS signs on beaches with lights, but it's saying like, please abduct me. He's begging to be abducted by aliens. And then flash forward a bit further in his life. Like I said, his aunt in the military is working for this. I guess I'll just throw up spoilers at this point. But before I get there, I'll just give my quick synopsis of, I love this movie. Punched me in the gut. Very sad movie. It's original to the sense that it's not based on existing IP, but, you know, it plays some of the familiar Pixar story beats we're all used to. But it's a story about belonging. It's a story about finding purpose. It's a story about destiny, especially with who you end up meeting as his kind of buddy later in the movie, which I know Cam would have a field day with the name. I got to make sure I get it right. Glorden. There's a lot of weird names in this movie. So there's a lot of weird names in spacecrafts and space programs that are all just weird, wild names. So as we go through this review, I'm probably going to mess up a lot of names or just kind of avoid talking about names because weird ass names. But so yeah, this movie is very emotional. I think it is a shining beacon of what Pixar is capable of that we've missed from them as of recent. And I would take this over Toy Story 5, 6, 7, Incredibles 3, 4, 5 any day of the week. And I just think if you don't see this movie and you complain about more sequels from Pixar, you kind of lose all your street cred. I'm not interested in hearing your complaints about Pixar sequels if you're not going to go out and support a film like Elio. So 3.5 for me. Someone replied on Twitter, like, why is it 3.5? And anyone who listens to this podcast knows, like, animation is not like, I just don't attach these films as much as other people do, which is not a derogatory statement, but anyone who listens to this pod, you all know, like a 3.5 for me for a film like Elio is like a surprising, great review. Like this is very positive from Tyler C. Whitmore. So positive marks for Elio. And I guess the only drawbacks is I think the emotional beats work really well. The ultimate story of like this multiversal space travel just didn't fully connect for me, but we'll get into spoilers quick. Won't spend too much time on it, but I do just want to say, so he gets abducted by aliens later because his aunt works, and just kind of picking up where I left off. So his aunt's working at this space center. They're trying to make contact with aliens, and Elio kind of sneaks into the base and sends a message out to this potential alien life form that's trying to communicate with Earth, but the whole military is kind of like unsure about sending a message or not. But Elio's like, I'm going in there. I want to talk to him. So he sends a message. It like blows up a power surge throughout the whole base, basically almost gets his aunt fired because she's letting a kid that she's supposed to be taking care of, which again, I think is what burden's the wrong word, but I think it's such a fascinating look at not only Elio feeling unwanted by his aunt, who has now been thrust into being a guardian for this kid because her sister and their sister's husband both passed. So Elio's basically an orphan at this point, so the aunt has to take care of him. But you see it through the angle of Elio feeling unwanted, feeling like a burden, while also seeing this aunt who is trying to be a high performer at her job, has a lot of stress and responsibility, also still busting her ass to give Elio a great life, and like does as much as she can to try and like foster his interests and be there for him. And you see the toll it takes on her as well. So I think it's a great parallel of showing both sides of the parenthood struggle, especially when you're an unexpected parent like this, where it's kind of thrust onto you. But she almost gets fired because of that. But the aliens respond back and they say, like, take us to your leader. And Elio sees this and he kind of acts like he is the leader of Earth to then be able to be abducted by these aliens, gets to talk with these aliens. And that's where you meet Glorden. Great name. But you get a bonding here over two kids who feel unwanted in different ways. So Elio doesn't have his parents anymore, whereas Glorden has his dad, who is like the aliens, like supreme military leader. Glorden is expected to take over in his father's shoes and be the next military overlord. And he has no interest in that. He has no interest in being in the military, has no interest in being like this dominant, powerful man. He's much more kind-hearted than his father. Not that his father's like an ass, but in the sense that like he just doesn't have the gall right now, or the guts to be this powerful leader that his father is forcing him to be as his successor to his kind of throne of emperorship. So he talks about how tough it is, you know, having a father and having to live up to these expectations. His mother is always gone. He rarely ever sees his mom. So while it's not the same story as Elio, which is similar with a lot of kids growing up, like you don't have the same stories as everyone else, but you're able to find common bonds between each other emotionally to cope and get through difficulties in life. And this tackles so many things, like I said, are very hard for kids to get through. And it doesn't sugarcoat anything at all. Like there's tough stuff in this movie. Like he's getting bullied. He has no family. He feels completely worthless and alone. And again, just wanting to get abducted by aliens. So him and Glorden bond over the fact that both of them feel kind of unwanted by their parents. And again, another tragic thing, basically how he gets away with being abducted by aliens but not getting caught on Earth is they have cloning devices in this alien world where they clone Elio, send his clone back down to Earth, and he's able to like peek in on him almost through like a webcam. And he sees that like the clone, like his aunt loves the clone. Like the clone is obedient. It's fun. It's full of life. It's not sad like Elio wasn't bummed out. The kid's more optimistic because basically Elio's aunt, after he like ruins the whole military base, sends him off to like this boarding school thing. But he gets sent home after a day of boarding school because he gets in a fight with these bullies who are bullying him. But when he gets sent home, it's the clone. And basically after one day, like all of a sudden he's reformed. He's like, he's nice, he's kind, he's energetic, he's smart, he's inspired, he's cleaning up around the house. And Elio peers in and sees like how much his aunt is like in love with this new clone. He's like, I feel even more worthless now because she loves him more than she loves me. Again, just so heartbreaking. But him and Glorden are on this whole, he's basically kind of holding Glorden hostage in a sense to try and get the leader to succumb and give in to his demands of being able to be freed and being able to survive. And, you know, he's obviously not holding the kid hostage. They're buddies, but the supreme leader is going to fold to his demands. But they, again, use a clone to try and misdirect the leader. But then once the clone gets in with the leader back with him, because Glorden doesn't want to go back home either. They kind of both want to be buddies and live their lives in this multiversal world that's really fun and expansive and gorgeously animated. But the leader gets this clone and immediately knows something's up because Glorden had no interest in being this military overlord, whereas this clone comes back all of a sudden after being held hostage, and he's like put in the military suit, and he's like, yeah, I'm super powerful. I love this. Awesome. So clearly the military leader is not fooled. He's like, yeah, something's up here. This is not my son. My son is not built like that. He's not ready to be powerful like this. This isn't my Glorden. So he sees right through Elio's plan all along. And then, you know, things ultimately come to a resolution here, and Elio gets a choice of, because the military and his aunt are able to come and save them because they, like his aunt works for this space exploration, talking with aliens program. And kind of the crux of the movie at the end is, Elio, it's your choice. Do you want to stay in this world, in this multiversal world with Glorden and all this cool universe out here, or where you feel like you belong, you found belonging, you found friendship, you found purpose? Or do you want to go back to Earth and be with your aunt and bullies and the hardships of life? And he ultimately decides, he's like, you know, at the end of the day, there's no place like home. I want to be on Earth. It's where I'm meant to be. He knows this is a kind of a temporary thing. And even though he knows life is so much harder down there, it's the life that he's meant to live, and he's meant to go through these challenges. And I just thought it was really beautiful. So that's kind of my rapid review. I don't know how rapid it ended up being, but spoiler free plus these kind of spoilers talk as well. But I was deeply moved by it. Oh yeah. The soundtrack I thought was incredible in this. The score in this is immediately one of my favorites of the year. So beautiful. And when I was looking at the filmography of the composer, was very surprised. So this was composed by Rob Simonson, who has done 500 Days of Summer, Deadpool and Wolverine, The Whale, It Ends With Us, Love, Simon, The Atom Project, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Very weird filmography. But he has some strong films in like Foxcatcher, Spectacular Now. So wasn't expecting that out of this filmography to have a score this powerful that I absolutely loved. But yeah, bummer of a film in the sense that I don't think it's going to do that well, but I do have optimism that Elio can be like Elemental, have the legs, get people coming to the theaters throughout the summer. Because if I'm not mistaken, I just don't think there's that much competition coming out. We already had the Lilo and Stitch remake, and the How to Train Your Dragon came out a week before. So I don't think, unless I'm forgetting something, that like another kids movie is coming out anytime soon. So I think this could have legs if they let it. But gorgeously animated, beautifully scored. Powerful story, fiercely original. Domishi, give her the keys to the kingdom. I need to rewatch Turning Red here soon, but yeah, let me know if you liked Elio, because I definitely thought it was a strong Pixar entry. And I saw Jay Stubes posted a video saying like, never has one single movie restored her faith in a studio so much. And I feel that, because I think Pixar has just been in a really tough spot, and especially when they show what their plans are going forward. Looking like a lot of sequels, looking like a lot of the same stories rehashed. And I hope we get more films like Elio, because this is great stuff. So I'll text the guys to come back. It looks like they're here waiting for me. But that's my review on Elio.
I heard that guy's funny name, and I heard you say it was a good name.
Yeah, Glorden. I skipped over so many names in the review because there's so many weird names in this movie. There's Lord Grygon, there's Tegman, Questa, a lot of weird names in this movie.
I don't want to watch it. I'm not going to see it this week, actually, because my
it's great, man.
mutuals have been rating it highly.
Sad ass movie. But
my friend's ratings of 3.9 for a recent Pixar. That's like very high.
Yeah, Pixar's back.
Well, a few bits of like couple trailers. Trailers of whatever to be honest this week. Toxic Avenger reboot. Anyone watch this?
No.
Toxic Avenger?
Bro, this film premiered at like one of the film festivals like 2.5 years ago, and it's only just now getting a release because he didn't find a buyer or something. I know people who've seen this. They saw it at a film festival like years ago. It's got like Elijah Wood in and William
Peter
Fichtner.
Dinklage?
No, Kevin Bacon, sorry.
What the fuck is this?
Peter Dinklage, yeah. It's like isn't it based on a comic? I think.
Definitely based on comics. I saw Toxic Avenger comics at the Poison Museum. So
maybe you should get into them, Tyler.
Yeah, maybe I should.
It's a reboot. There was original film, Lloyd thingy did it. I can't remember his name. Lloyd Kaufman. But yeah, it's a reboot and it looks kind of crazy, so I might watch it. Also,
I just saw one snippet. It says on Google, why has Toxic Avenger not been released? One of the main reasons is they couldn't find a distributor, but it has been described as unreleasable due to its gore and graphic content. So what the hell is
that? Shit. I don't know watch that.
Insane.
Yeah. That's crazy. Have you not seen the like?
I'm watching the Red Bad trailer right now.
George, have you not seen the stills of this online? It looks wild.
No.
Elijah Wood looks crazy.
Because this literally released. Insane.
It got a festival release like early 2023 or some shit. It was ages ago.
That's fucked.
I know. So yeah, I will watch this. Looks crazy. You guys see the trailer for Him, the new like American football? It looks alright. Like it looks pretty like cool. It looks like some visual sequences. The trailer's actually really good, I would say. Got me quite excited for it, so I'll probably watch that. And then also trailer for Naked Gun reboot as well, which I actually think looks quite funny. And there's a few bits in the trailer that have made me laugh, which rarely happens.
They've been good trailers. They've been good trailers.
Oh no!
I've never seen a Naked Gun movie though. So.
Neither have I.
You not seen the first one, like the original, like Leslie Mann, the original? Oh, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Leslie Mann.
Isn't Leslie Mann?
Isn't the original Naked Gun from like the 50s?
Wait, who's Leslie Mann? I might have got the name wrong.
Leslie Mann is like that's Judd Apatow's wife.
Oh, sorry, Leslie Nielsen. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say. I was like, yeah. I don't think Leslie Mann's that old. Leslie
Nielsen's he did like Airplane as well, like those sort of comedies.
Okay.
Like, that's favorite comedies. It's good. Also, some movie news I wanted to quickly run through. Big one, George can speak on this because I don't know. John Bernthal will return as the Punisher in the new Spider-Man film. I don't know what that means. I've never seen the Punisher because I haven't seen anything with him in it.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't watch the Daredevil or Daredevil Born Again. So obviously he's been like reintroduced into the MCU already, which is exciting. I do love John Bernthal in this role, and I love John Bernthal in general. And there were speculations where he was going to pop in. It was obviously, I mean, not 100% confirmed, but like his name wasn't on one of those chairs for the Avengers Doomsday release. Team, whatever you want to call it.
They're going to fight Hulk. That's what I keep seeing online.
Yeah, I don't know what storyline they're going to run with. I think there's a lot of speculations, but I don't think anything's been confirmed. But that's been a collab that I think a lot of people have been wanting to see for a while, like getting Spider-Man down into like that more grounded Daredevil Punisher universe as opposed to like the big Avengers Thanos type stuff. So very exciting. Very exciting. I'm excited to see like John Bernthal and Tom Holland kind of be pinned, I'm assuming, against each other and then eventually together. I think morally they are, separated human beings. So I think it's going to just be a very fun dynamic to observe.
Is the Punisher a villain?
No, he's like an anti-hero vigilante that doesn't abide by law.
I'm going to stay with you, George, because you're the only one I know who's seen Mindhunter, which might be returning in the form of 3 2-hour films.
Yeah, I've heard inklings of this. The might return or potentially return is kind of holding me back from getting too excited. I feel like we've been teasing a Mindhunter return for the last couple of years, and we've just continuously been getting blue-balled. So I'm not getting too excited yet until something's confirmed. But I also won't be excited if David Fincher doesn't return to the project.
I thought that was a given that he would. No,
I hope. I mean, I don't.
Then
see
is he making
why.
3 films?
Yeah, exactly. Then what is he doing? He's going to make 3 films just for I don't know. Like if he's not returning, I'm not going to be as excited. He is obviously the crux of that show, and he's what makes that show so fucking brilliant. So I don't know. There's just a lot of questions up in the air on Mindhunter. I don't even know. At this point, it's like it's like restore the Justice League. Like we're so far. Like let's just wrap it up. Like we're good. Like stop with the restore the Justice League. Stop with the bring back Mindhunter. Like we got to move on eventually. Unfortunately, yeah. As someone who's a big fan of both, I hate saying that, but I think that's just the truth of the matter right now.
Cool. I did want to ask you about something actually. So we got the news that like some of the directors pitching for the new Bond film. So notable names listed were Edward Berger, who did like Conclave or Quiet on the Western Front, Denis, Edgar Wright, Jonathan Nolan, and Paul King, which is a really interesting one. So I have 2 questions to ask you both. Okay.
None of them.
No. Shut up. 2 questions to ask you both. You have to pick one of those listed. First of all, which one are you going with?
None of them.
No. You fucking play the game. Play the game.
I think Edward Berger.
I also think Edward Berger.
Yeah, I don't think he's the best name on this list. I actually think I'd throw him like 4th behind Denis, Edgar
Jonathan
Wright,
Nolan,
and
who
Paul
fucking
King.
knows? Like,
Jonathan Nolan, I'm not considering a director right now. He's a writer and a producer. But no, I don't think Edward Wright's style of filmmaking, very, I don't want to call it quirky, but I just don't think that style of filmmaking could mesh well with a Bond film. Paul King, like, what are you going to give me? Like a wholesome, heartfelt Bond movie? I don't know if I want that.
Denis is like, you don't want to attach him to another franchise.
Yeah, Denis, I don't want to throw him on another franchise, even though I think he's far and away the best filmmaker on this list. But I don't know. As much as I love Denis, I don't know how much a Denis Bond film excites me.
Yeah. Tyler, what about you?
Yeah, so just looking at the short list, or at least the names that you mentioned, Edward Berger probably top just because I've liked his movies, haven't loved either one, but it's not like he has stuff in the pipeline that I'm like begging to see that this would take him away from. But I think tonally, Conclave, All Quiet on the Western Front, I think it could work. Denis, don't want to see him locked down to a franchise again. Edgar Wright, again, Bond are inherently funny films, but they're dry humor. They're very sophisticated humor. It'd be like Edgar Wright's a little more lowbrow humor, and that's not in a derogatory sense. It's just in a sense of the comedy styles are way different, and I don't want that in a Bond movie. Paul King, again, I just don't see it. Maybe that's my mind is thinking too small, but Jonathan Nolan would be cool just because I know he's written a lot of the great Christopher Nolan films with him. So it's like, maybe, I don't know, if you could attach a director and Jonathan Nolan could be writing Bond films, I think it'd be really, really cool. But especially now that Christopher Nolan at this stage of his career is starting to write mostly his own screenplays, even though I'm sure him and his brother will always be collaborating. But I'd say Edward Berger or Jonathan Nolan would be my 2 picks.
My second question is, if you could pick any director right now, if it was up to you to direct Bond, they have to be alive. Who are you picking? George, you can't pick Christopher Nolan, by the way. So before you say that, you're not allowed.
Owen Patnod.
Absolutely.
Yeah. An experimental Bond. Be very interesting.
That's a tough question, man.
It is a tough question.
Do you have anyone in mind, Seth? I need to buy some time before I can lock in my answer.
Someone said Steven Soderbergh, and I guess that kind of makes sense in terms of the spy.
Yeah. He's been on a flop era, though.
Great.
Maybe Soderbergh in like 2005.
Let me check my replies.
I'm checking. I don't know why people mention Chad Stahelski.
I was just about to throw out Chad Stahelski.
Bond aren't actiony enough films.
Yeah,
that was my thinking. Yeah,
I don't know.
He's great at world building, but I don't think. I haven't seen enough from him yet.
I'd maybe go like Michael Mann, but that seems too obvious.
Bro, what about Shane Black?
Who's Shane?
He did The Nice Guys.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that comedy.
I'll go Man
either.
Yeah,
sounds a good shout.
I actually think Fincher would make a great. I don't want him to do it.
Would make a really good Bond film
based on The Killer and just like the dry humor. I think he'd make a great Bond.
Fincher would make a good Bond.
I wouldn't really want to tie him down to that.
Damn.
I'll say Fincher or Man probably for me, one of the two. But obviously, tie him down to a franchise.
Bro, what about a Joe Kosinski Bond film?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out random names right now.
Tyler, give me a name.
Yeah, I will go with. I have 2 names here. And this is just quickly looking at my letterbox. I'll go one named James Hawes. So he just did The Amateur this year, which I thought was fine, but it felt very Bondsy, and I could see it working. He also directed the 2 Black Mirror episodes. I Hated in the Nation. I really like that one with the Killer Bees.
Good one.
And Smithereens, I don't think is great. But that's really all he's directed. And the other one, Jeremy Saulnier has directed Rebel Ridge and Green Room and Blue Ruin.
That's a good pick. Is that an original thought, Tyler?
I sorted my letterbox from 2020's action movies, and I saw Rebel Ridge and opened up who directed it, and that's how I
don't mind that.
Blue Ruin. We'll go Jeremy Saulnier.
I don't mind that. It's interesting. George, did you give me a name?
Shane Black. Final answer.
Okay.
What else has he done other than The Nice Guys? I know he's done
Iron Man 3, Tyler.
Yeah, he did Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
I don't think he would make a good Bond film. I'm just struggling to figure out who I would want to
You gave us a name at least.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm really struggling.
I was cast as Clayface, which is a big achievement in the world.
Taking a break.
I wrote it down on the rundown. I wrote Seth who's cast as Clayface, but I can't actually remember the guy's name. What was his name?
Jawline McGee.
Great.
It would, dude. He does have an insane jawline. What was his name?
Yeah,
Tom Rice Harris.
Yeah. Cool.
Tom Riz Harris.
I don't know who he is, to be honest.
Which is cool.
I like that for sure. Oh, he was in The Gentleman, which is the only thing I've seen him in. Oh no, I've seen him in 2 things, but I'm a little bit confused. But yeah, don't watch it. It's mid anyway. But yeah, so cool. And final thing, Tom Cruise is going to win an Oscar. Well, win an honorary Oscar, but I am counting it as an official Oscar. It counts. He has won an Oscar, or will. That's kind of it.
Should have by now.
True. That's kind of it.
At least supporting in Magnolia.
Yeah, true. Shout out to executive producers, Stefan Niebrick, Stefan Johnson, Cody Whitney, and Cole Beaver. Appreciate you guys as always. If you want to check out the Discord, plenty of things coming. If you want to suggest us films, reviews this week we have coming for the Patreon review is going to be Pride and Prejudice, and for the Real Quick of the week on Thursday, it's going to be a Steven Spielberg auction draft. We know you guys would like them. I think Spielberg has a very vast filmography. There's a lot we can go into with that, and it will give you guys who are complaining. There's going to be probably more arguments in this one because it's not as wide in scope. It's a bit of a smaller, shout out Cam in that episode. That was very funny. But yeah, this has been the ReelTok Podcast episode 146, and we will see you guys later.
Peace.